fantasy and ever-changing views and computer terminology. Commodore news. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you.
Hello and welcome to episode 103 of Zapped to the Past. I am Adrian Mills and I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Graham Raddings. If you haven't listened before, this is a podcast where we discuss games that were released for the Commodore 64. Last week, we looked at our first batch of games from issue 42 of Zap 64, which we are in no way affiliated with, and were demoralised by Daley Thompson's Olympic Challenge, vexed by the Vindicator, and devastated by Diamond. This week, we conclude our look at the games in October 1988, along with what was lighting up our TV and cinema screens that month. So Graham, forewarned is forearmed, so prepare us for the games ahead.
In this dusty old box of camping equipment that you tripped over in the loft of an episode, we run, jump, dive and poke our way through a colourful range of larger-than-life Olympic-style events in Summer Olympiad. Explore the dreary world of a stuntman show-off in the limpy stunt bike simulator, dive deep under the ocean looking for some fish to slap and air to breathe in the watery Scuba Kidz, and climb atop some kind of submersible aquatic fighter ship and blast through the endless levels of Scorpius. Did you ever fall through a bathroom ceiling after tripping on a tent in the loft? My advice is don't. It really hurts, and your teenage daughter will not be happy. We also grab our space bats and head into wall-breaking territory as we play the Arkanoid-ish Ball Blasta. Thrill at the fancy front-end styling and intriguing presentation before being dumped on by the crappy game with the Fury. Run around like an 8-bit pig in a poke, getting all bomby and a bit underwhelmed with Psycho Pigs UXB. Try to understand the nuances of vacuum cleaner-enabled pinball combat in Hotshot before finally grabbing a smaller bat and some ear defenders and heading into the clunky and possibly mathematically challenging world of Ricochet. I haven't seen this much dull budget mediocrity since the last episode full of dull budget mediocrity. On the plus side, is there a plus side? Nothing can prepare you for them.
Well, yeah, maybe. I do feel a little bit forearmed, though, and forewarned.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's an odd bunch this week, I think.
It really is a really, really odd bunch.
Yeah, a load of odd stuff this week.
Yeah.
Just before we get into the games, I did want to mention, I forgot to mention this last week actually, but one of our amazing listeners, Deadlock, has created an online repository of all our episodes.
That's a bit cool.
It is very cool. We'll post a link to them in the show notes. If you wish to follow Deadlock on Twitter, it's Deadlock. That's Deadlock, where the lock part is spelt with a zero. So if you just search for Deadlock, you'll probably find him with that sort of spelling. I think it's _air, as in the island, EIRE. So search that, and then you can find, you can look at all our episodes. He's done it. It's cool. It's got listing, what's in them, and everything like that. And it's a page-by-page thing. It's well cool.
It is very cool. Very cool indeed.
So thank you very much for that, Deadlock. That's amazing. It's always cool when people just do these things out of the blue. It's like, that's just so ace. It just always sort of takes me back a little bit that people are willing to put time and effort into this crazy thing we've got going on. And yeah, I always find it quite quite humbling.
Isn't it?
Humbling,
Yes.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's ace. Yeah, there we go. So that's cool.
Well done, Deadlock.
Well done. Not to be confused with Deadpool.
No.
Don't try and kill him. He won't come back. That would be bad. And he won't update his things. So don't do that. Should we get into some games? Because we've got lots of games. We've got a lot to cover this week.
Quite a few, actually.
9 games this week.
9 again.
Nine. Which at some point, some of them had said 9, but
Lots of budget fodder this month, isn't there?
It is a budget month, yes.
A bit of a mishmash of stuff.
Budget bargains or budget bastards? We shall have to wait and see. All right, let's get into them. Should we get into our first one?
Do it.
All right, let's get into our first game. And our first one, as we are approaching the summer, clocks go forward, clocks are forward this weekend. You
Yes,
know,
time shift.
sunny nights are going to be here again and everything like that and blah, blah,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Summer Olympiad is our first game this week, Graham. Summer Olympiad. So it's time to don our best sporting clobber once again and head out into the arena as the Summer Olympiad is here.
it.
Graham, not to be confused with the Summer Olympics. No, sir.
No, as we discussed last time the word Olympiad was used.
Yes, I put that. Yeah, it's very different. We spoke about Olympiad when we covered the Winter Olympiad game back in episode 76. I'm not going to go over that again here. However, interestingly, for the US release, this was renamed Summer Challenge, and it was released by a company called Thunder Mountain. There's a software house to put hairs on your chest. Thunder Mountain. That sounds ace, doesn't it? Who's releasing your game? Thunder
That's the
Mountain.
name of the CEO. His name. What's your name? Thunder. Oh, okay. Okay, Mr. Mountain.
Yeah, but he says it in AC/DC style. What's your name? Thunder.
Who keeps doing that?
Thunder. Shut up. I'll get you, Angus. Anyway, over here, this is Summer Olympiad released by Tynesoft. Not nearly as cool, really.
Fog on the Tynesoft.
Indeed. It's for $9.95. It was coded by Ian Davison and Michael Headley. It's got graphics by Michael J. Landreth and music by Ian Crabtree and Wally Beban. This follows your standard template for these kind of multi-event sporting affairs with up to 6 players working their way through the various events to see who comes out on top at the end. This game has 5 events for you to play through, and they are skeet shooting, fencing, triple jump, diving, and hurdles. So a strange bunch, an eclectic bunch, but anyway.
One might say, yes.
Yeah, when the game loads, you enter the names of who is playing, and you pick their country to represent, and you got 14 available. You got UK, USA, West Germany, shows its age, Australia, Italy, the USSR, again showing its age, Canada, Austria, Spain, France, Netherlands, Japan, Sweden, or New Zealand. Those are your choices. You can pick no others. That's all there is. Once that is done, you get to pick your events from the 6 television screens. Was it this menu system in Winter Olympiad as well? I seem to remember something similar to this. So you've got like the screen has like 6 TVs on it, and you move a cursor over them, and you just click on them.
There was another game that did it. It was a Gremlin game, I think.
Was it one of the sort of alternative world games or something, or one of those kind of crazy
like that.
crap?
Had the stupid video screens, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was really. This is a bit more user friendly.
It works.
This works. Yeah, the other one didn't work. So each screen has one of the events, and one of them is for the opening ceremonies. You've got 6 screens. You should pick them all if you want. You don't have to pick them all. So if you just have a particular favorite, you can just choose that one. I quite like this menu method. I quite liked it. I thought it worked. It was all right.
Did all right.
It feels intuitive, and it kind of encompasses that playing one, some, or all of them into a simple one-screen interface. So, you don't have to pick. You can pick and choose you want. So that's cool. Once picked, you can start the games by pressing the button at the bottom. So it comes up, says start, and you press that. You then get an odd menu choice where load the next event or retry the previous one alternates.
That can cause anger. That can.
It did, because I pressed retry. And so it takes, if you don't do that here, don't press retry when you've just selected your country and put your names in, because what it does is it takes you back to the beginning of all that. So you have to put your names in and pick the countries again and which ones. Stupid. I don't know why that's here. It's just, I think it's because it's on all the other menus and they've just used one template for the lot of them. But it really doesn't work here. Anyway, don't do that. Just press load the next game. Just do that. Anyway, should you watch the opening ceremonies? You get to watch some balloons float by.
Yeah, it's not the most elaborate, expensive opening ceremonies.
I did laugh at those balloons coming across like, oh, that's it.
So, someone hadn't planned an event before, had they? That's that magnitude.
That's a proper 80s Britain opening ceremonies. Balloons. Bought from Athena.
It was, wasn't it? Just to pack of 20 balloons. And they weren't even like inflated properly as well.
No, they just kind of floated past her.
Yeah,
then you got there's some guy just enters the arena. He lights the flame, and a blimp flies past.
Yeah, well, you don't see him light the flame, do you? He just runs off.
No, you don't. He just runs off the bottom screen, but on a very straight track, according to the video thing.
Yeah, little video.
It's all very, but it's all very invigorating, I guess. It looks okay. A video screen close with the man running. The flame effect's okay. There's some okay music. It's all right. It's okay. It does the job. So once you've had your fill of this, you can proceed to the first event, and I'm going to go through them in the order I got them. First up was skeet shooting. So this takes place on like an open field, and you have a view from behind your shooter. So like a guy just shot. There's 2 launchers stand on either side of the field, and you have a free moving crosshair that you control. Skeets are launched into the air from either side, and you have to move your crosshair over them and shoot them as they fly. So this isn't like the hypersports method of skeet shooting where you're just moving up and down, you just got to press fire. You've actually got to guide your crosshair and get in the way and press fire at the right time. This is much more freeform. Okay. There are 7 shooting points, and they form a semicircle around the field, and you shoot at either 2, so one will come from both sides, or sometimes you get 4 skeets, so you'll get 1 from one side, 1 from the other, and then 1 from both at the same time, and it's quite tricky to try and get all of those. So you do this 7 times, you get points for hitting them, and once you've fired from the last vantage point, they kind of they go around in a semicircle, so you've got a different view with each vantage point. The round is over, and your score is displayed. It's fairly simple. There's not too much in the way of mechanics. You move across it, you shoot the skeets. That's it. You do that repeatedly. I got 11 for this. That was my score for this, which I wasn't too bad, I thought, for a couple of goes. Next up was the fencing. This is viewed from an isometric viewpoint. So sort of top, I suppose, looking down from the top behind and to the right, I guess. You're looking down, they move. Okay. So, so you're moving up and down. So the fence is moving up and down from the bottom left to the top right. Controls are simple enough. Up and down moves your fence towards or away from your opponent. Left does a riposte. Right does a parade. And the fire button does a sally out. I don't know what those mean. I know what a riposte is, but I've never heard the term sally out before.
Bruce Dickinson knows what they mean. That's all we need to know.
Sally out! That's what it's. That's a.
He's an Olympic fencer as well as.
I know he is, but he's got to say it in that voice, isn't he?
He doesn't sing it, does he?
Sally out.
He keeps the two very exclusive. Iron Maiden does not enter into his fencing, and fencing, as far as I'm aware, has never really entered into his Iron Maiden career. So do you think that's what Be Quick or Be Dead was about? It's a fencing song. No, it's about getting off the toilet in the morning because his dad was a real angry guy. It's a whole other story.
Okay. Yeah, okay. And then it's run for the hills, I guess. So yeah, sally out is a jab at your opponent's chest. That's how you score a point. You have to do the sally out to actually score a point. The aim here is to be the first to land 5 clean hits on your opponent's chest and be deemed the winner. I won. My go. I was quite proud of myself. Next up is the triple jump. This is good. So you see it first from afar. It's like a side-on view, and our jumper comes up to the run-up, sort of jogs on from the left and stops at the run-up part.
Jogs.
Okay, saunters. A stab at the fire button, and we once again see things from an isometric view with our runner going up to the top right. Here we have to waggle to build up speed, and then hold the fire button for our hop trajectory, and then press fire for the skip and the jump part. It's fairly self-explanatory, and I got 18.8 meters. Quite good. Next up is diving. You see this from the side. We have a fairly lengthy man standing atop the diving board. He's a very lengthy man, I thought.
He is quite tall.
He is very tall. He's very lengthy. So you launch yourself by move the joystick left or right. That launches the diver forward with either a forward dive or a backward tuck dive. And as you plummet to the water, you've got to do as many moves as you can. Left or right does a tucked roll. Fire and left or right spins the diver 360 degrees. So he just spins vertically. I don't know how to describe it really. He just sort of spins round. If you do up, you do a backward somersault, and down does a header, which always made me laugh. It just sort of goes, sort of bends in the middle, which made me chuckle.
It does.
You need to do as many of these as you can and enter the water cleanly to get a good score from the judges. I got 31.2. I don't know whether that's good or not. Seems okay. I got threes and stuff like that from most of the judges. Okay. Finally, we have the hurdles. This is another waggler. Seen from the side with a slightly 3D tint, like Entombed, I guess, that kind of thing. You've got 4 lanes. You've got 4 track lanes. You've got to waggle against 3 other runners and tap the fire button at the right time to leap over the hurdles. Non-pressing or at the wrong time will see you hit the hurdles and slow down. I got 5.85 and came third. I don't know what that meant, but that's what I got. But that's it, really. At this point, the game refused to do anything more for me, so I had to quit out and reload. So I don't know if it crashed or something. It just sat there. I don't know whether it was a thing of the crack. I don't know whether it was a thing, but...
That's what it does.
Is that what it does? Just ends. You've done. You've finished. Now reload.
Didn't Winter Olympiad do the same thing, as I recall?
It might well have done. Yeah, I don't know. I've kind of forgotten all about that game. I mean, aside from that, I thought this was okay, actually. The visuals are nice, big and bold, with some unusual viewpoints on the events and some nice touches throughout. I quite like the cameraman following the action on the fencing and stuff like that. There's some nice little touches throughout. The music is good. It's not amazing, but it's not annoying and does its job before and after each event, and the sound effects are okay throughout. The best thing, though, about this, I thought, is that it's very approachable. We've said that the recent Epics games have lost that pick-up-and-play approach that the early entries in the game series had, and while it's not as good as those early classics, this has picked up that baton and ran with it, if you pardon the pun. Yes, there are a couple of waggle events, but the waggle needed is pretty generous. It's not that hard. Unlike Daley Thompson's Olympic Challenge from last week, which, was ridiculously, stupidly hard. But here, the waggle is actually quite forgiving. You've not got to waggle that hard. Like I was up to full speed on the triple jump and stuff in no time. It's just, I'm full speed. That's kind of crazy. And the controls for the others are simple and easy to understand. And the ability to retry any event, because at the end of every event, you can proceed to the next one or retry that one. So that's quite nice. You can just keep retrying that one if you like it. As you progress, allows you to keep trying and getting better at them as you play them. Does the simplicity affect the depth of the game? Maybe. But I always thought these games were always designed as party games, I think. And having anyone be able to pick up the controller and be able to record a decent attempt quickly, I think is far more important to this kind of game than having to try over and over and over again just to record a score because of the overly complex control system. I'm thinking of the half pipe in California games or things like that, which are just, or some of those having to plan out your bloody routine in the figure skating in Games Winter Edition and stuff like that. It's just overly complex. Here you're in, just like 4 controls, you do it, done. But then you can retry and play them and stuff like that. It's a bit light on events. It's only 5. A couple more would have been good to see. But what is here, I thought, was a solid attempt at this style of game. It's better than Winter Olympiad, I seem to remember. I like this. I found myself going through the events a few times to try and get better scores, which is something I can't say about those recent Epix titles. There's some nice presentation. It flows quite well. The games all look nice. It sounds good. And there's, like I said, it's an easy in on all of them. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But I imagine with a few more players in multiplayer, this would have been all right. I think you'd have got your money's worth out of this. It's a tenner, 5 events. Yeah, it's all right. I quite like this. What about you?
As soon as I heard the music, I recognised it. It's got that do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and it made me remember that we'd actually played this many moons ago at my house. As soon as I saw the menu and it had that FLD bouncy intro thing, it's like, I remember it now. All came back to me. Strange, that. Nice opening, floaty balloons.
That's weird. We played this, did we? I don't remember.
We did, yeah, way back in the day, yeah. We did, cool. Yeah. As soon as I heard the music and saw the menu screen, where it has that sort of bouncy effect where it bounces on and off, I was like, I recognise this.
Yeah.
Opening ceremony, such as it was, balloons. Skeet shooting.
We spared no expense.
There was no expense spent, was there? Skeet shooting, nice big graphics, easy to read screen. Pace was nice. Was a bit more difficult than it looked, but it was quite good fun. Something a bit different, and it felt like you got through it nice and speedily. I got 14 on that.
Oh, well done.
Fencing. I think this is one of the best events in the whole thing. Really nice background details. Look like an audience for once.
Yeah, all of them do, I think. There's some nice background stuff.
Some not as good as others. Cameraman following was a nice little thing in that one. This one felt like it had the most attention on it. Moves were simple but really good. Sometimes it felt a little bit awkward. Like if you got too close to each other, it just felt like you were just sort of, parrying and wobbling your swords around.
You couldn't jab it. You did
that. But it worked. It looked the part, and there was some decent animations in there. Good event, that. I beat the guy. My only complaint with that was it was ridiculously easy. Triple jump. Nice backgrounds, a bit smaller, like you said initially. Good view of the jump. Although it felt, when you got to the sort of closer in view, the whole thing felt a bit floaty and not as thumpy as it needed to be. You didn't feel like you were planting your feet. The jump angle was quite hard to get, but all right, that's what these games, bit of practice would do that. It just felt a bit completely silent, that one. And some of this game suffers with that a bit, so it sort of loses a little bit of the atmosphere of being in a stadium when everyone's just stone cold silent.
Everyone's holding their breath for the jump. That's what I think.
They are. So that made it feel a little bit weird. Considering how much music and sound there is everywhere else, it just seems odd that there isn't that usual kind of noise sound for a crowd or something. And the preamble was a little bit long on that. So with the sort of walking up the thing and doing all that, you could sort of you're almost pressing the button wanting to skip. I got 19.5 in that.
Ooh,
just didn't find that event very exciting. High dive, nice opening, I thought, on that. The background of the diving area looked good.
Yes.
Bit of a long preamble again, but all right, we'll go with it. And this is mainly just because it comes on with the event name, and then it has the floaty letters, which was a problem with the Winter Olympiad.
You've got that on every one, aren't you?
Some of them have a little bit of extra stuff as well, like this one does. Bit massive diving sprite. I mean, goodness me, he was a whopper, wasn't he?
Yes.
Bit jerky, the animation in it, but it sort of works. And he's, considering you're sort of bending that guy left, right, and centre and up in the middle, and he's very bendy. The moves felt a little bit arbitrary, though. But you sort of just go, and hope that you're pointing downwards when you get to the bottom. And again, the lack of sound made it a little bit unexciting. Splashing when you hit the water would have been a decent thing to do on that, wouldn't it? And a few things like that.
Yeah.
So I didn't write my score down for that, but I got 3s and 4s, I think, for my top for that. So whatever that would be. And the hurdles, I thought this was the weakest event in it. It wasn't very exciting. 4 runners. It wasn't immediately clear which one you were, which was a bit weird. Not straight away. So you're looking at it going, which one am I? Because it's quite fast, this one, when it goes. It's like, race, go! And waggle, waggle, jump, which one's jump, which one am I? So it's initial panic. Graphics were okay, but animations felt a little bit limited, but it did feel short and over with quickly. It's like, no, done. Oh, okay. That was that then.
Yeah, 110 meters.
And then it just ended with the final medal table. It just went, hey, well done, end. It stopped. I was like, oh, okay, well, I've got gold, I suppose. So, good. It's all right. It's better than most of the recent efforts. It's back to that kind of, exactly as you describe. They're playable, that you can get into them. They don't really require that much skill. But that said, 2 or 3 players with this, you'd be having a bit of a laugh. It's always the same thing. You probably, because you can pick the events, you're going to pick the diving, you're going to pick fencing, and that's great because you can avoid the crappy ones that you don't like. The shooting was pretty good, but you're not going to want to do a lot of, hurdles with your mates, are you?
You probably avoid the waggle ones, yeah.
Yeah. So but you've still got the option to sort of do that and just have a real blast with it and a laugh. And it's just a little challenge to get the gold game. I thought it was quite good. It's about 87% was probably about right. I think as you've said, I think what it's missing is it could have done with just a couple more really good events, or take out the crappy ones and just put 1 or 2 more really good ones in. A cycling event wouldn't have been amiss in something like this, or something that felt a little bit more. No, just I don't know, just something. But I suppose a lot of these have been done. But anyway, that said, I enjoyed my time with it, and I went right through the whole thing. Quite enjoyed it. It keeps itself at a decent pace because of those shorter ones, though. So it sort of offsets the sort of slower ones. But I liked it. Go play it. Go and give it a go. Worth a shot.
It is, yeah. It's fun. It's a nice throwback to the sort of early Epic stuff. Not like I say, it's not as good as those, but
it's like Epic's grande, isn't it? Because everything's like Epic's but bigger. And it's sort of the sprites are big. It's like it's like if you've gone to the shop and ordered a Venti Epics game, you'd get this.
It's Epic Epics.
It is, yeah. So it's massive. I don't know why my voice went like that then.
I don't know either. I was trying to ignore it.
Too much Olympiad. So.
Not enough Olympics.
Go play the game. It's very good.
It is good. Yeah, it's all right. It's quite a laugh. There we go. Summer Olympiad. We like that one. It's all right. Let's move on to our next one. There's a lot of S's in this section. In fact, I didn't actually realise, but our first 4 all begin with S. Let's move on to our next one. Graham, what's it like to be in a stunt bike simulator?
What's it like? Well, have you ever played a game where you were somebody called Chad Adams? Because you have now.
I have now, yeah.
You are Chaz Adams, ace stuntman. I think they missed a trick with this, and I'll come back to what that is in a minute. But anyway, in order to show the rest of the stuntmen, that's just make me laugh that like this, all the stuntmen need to be shown. You're no stuntman. I'll show you how good I am. In order to show the rest of the stuntmen how good you are, you have set yourself a number of tasks. Swoop down from your hang glider to your bike. Jump logs. Speed through the fire hoop. Catch a drive into the lorry. Then clamber up your helicopter and away. The best in the business. That's what that aim of the game is. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the mighty 5 tasks of this game you have to do. Now, I have to be honest here. I didn't get past task 1, but I've got some information about the others. So we could sort of go through that.
I did get to task 3.
Well, you've done better than I did. So this game was from Silverbird, our friends at Silverbird. Probe Software, believe it or not, did this. Developed, created by W.R. Bury. He also did something called Hopper Copper, which looked to me like a very odd game. It was
Hopper Copper.
It was a policeman on a space hopper. That was what it looked like to me. And the musician here is Guido Zicci. He's done loads of games that I've never heard of. Games you might remember like Armadillo, Zone Z, and Sweep.
You remember them.
The strange thing is, right, they were all in 1987, all those games. So, and I don't remember playing any of them.
No, I don't. Maybe they're just European stuff. Hell for Leather, Sweep.
Loads of them there is. There's not a great deal to this game, has to be said. You're going to get to the beginning part of this stupid thing, and then you're going to start the game. The idea of the game is you've got to get through those 5 tasks. So the game will start, and you'll see the Fancy Pants logo at the top of the screen, Stunt Bike Simulator in drawing font mode. I don't know whether someone's drawn it. It's weird. It's just a bit weird the way it's all presented this. You've got 3 options there, haven't you? Pause, music and sound effects on, so you can sort of, combine those, and then you press fire to begin your journey into the tasks. You won't enjoy these tasks. I'll say that now. The graphics are really odd in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got the top part of the screen is both the logo and your sort of, I guess you call it a UI, but it's just numbers and text, really. So you score, your level score, and your attempt number and things like that. The first task, you've got to try and control the motorbike so you can land somebody who's on a hang glider on it. I don't know. I was flying along in the motorbike. The screen scrolls from right to left with your motorbike traveling from right to left. So I suppose technically the screen scrolls from left to right. Anyway, you're traveling to the left. And you zoom along, and there's a road at the bottom of the screen, and then there's like a sort of imagine in the level one, there's like a desert scene, as I remember it, with cactuses, and really big cactuses, but cactuses. You're racing along, your game starts, then you push to the left, and your motorbike will speed up. And as you speed up, it will go more towards the left of the screen. Above your motorbike is you, presumably, on your hang glider, and there are road cones that will sort of stop your motorbike and stop it in its tracks and slow it down. So you've got to try and navigate through those, get underneath your hang glider pile, and then you press the fire button, and he'll drop down, and then if all goes according to plan, he'll land on the motorbike. That's if it goes according to plan. It didn't for me.
It's quite hard.
I didn't. Yeah, even Zapped saying in the review, it's next to impossible to do it because it's got to be pixel perfect. I found that combined with a really awful collision detection. So I was hitting road cones and I was nowhere near them.
You hit them with the top of your bike. It's so stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
It's ridiculous.
So I found I found it quite frustrating to play in that way. So I didn't get to any of the other levels, although from what I've seen and what I've read and what I looked at on the YouTube, or Tube of You, they all play out similarly. Albeit that you are, you got to get onto a truck in one of them. I think you got to jump over. I don't know. I didn't see the levels, but I think you've got to do. They essentially still scroll from right to left, or so you travel from right to left, and you then have to partake in the varying tasks. The tasks, as the instructions say them. So hang glider drop, long jumping, avoid the oncoming logs by bunny hopping them or driving your bike around them. Fire hoop jumping, which sounds a bit like bunny hopping, but you got to jump through the hoops. Lorry catching, and then task 5 is helicopter hanging. You must jump from the bike and grab onto the hanger, which is suspended from the helicopter. The graphics in this game are a little basic. They're not very exciting. I think the motorbike actually is all right. The motorbike and the road part, for a $1.99 game, they do look like a motorbike. I'm just thinking, if they'd have stuck to you being on the motorbike doing stunts, as opposed to you trying to land on the bike at the start, I think if you could have built up to that. That feels like something you should probably have done later in the levels and start off the levels by jumping over hoops and logs and things like that to get used to controlling the bike. Otherwise, it feels like the levels are out of order, and I found it disappointing because I sort of wanted to get to the other things to see what they were like. But I just don't think this has got any real sort of longevity in it. It's not very exciting. It's just one thing after another, very similar, very samey. I said graphics are okay on the motorbike and the sort of player. There's not a massive amount of animation, and the hazards are just if they're not cones, they're just things in the way. I found them very difficult to avoid because of that collision problem. And all in all, I found this quite the frustrating experience. That gave it 40%. I would say that's probably, in all fairness, for a budget game of this type, 40%. It's about right, really. I didn't get a lot from it. I am no Chad Adams, I can tell you that. More like a Wednesday Adams, I think, or a Grizzly Adams maybe, but not Chad. So I thought 40% about right. I wouldn't have been happy if I'd have paid for it, but if someone gave me it as a present, I'd probably be okay with them for a while. How about you?
Not if you got past that first stage, you wouldn't. Oh, this is stupidly bad. It's stupidly bad. That first one. This is a series of naff physics-defying games where you do stuff on a bike for what I could, okay. You try to impress other stuntmen. There's little in the way of cause and effect here. I got to the fire hoops. So if you get to past that hang gliding one, which I managed to get past after the stupid collision detection, but I didn't manage to do it. You get to the bunny hop one. What's a bunny hop? Do you know what a bunny hop is? It's where you jump up, isn't it? You take both wheels off the floor.
I don't know, is it?
Yeah, that's a bunny hop. It's where you go, you sort of lift the whole bike up and do a jump. What a bunny hop is not, is pull a wheelie and then do a back wheelie. Because that's
back wheelie.
As in where you're up on your front wheel.
No, that's not a...
No, so this is how you've got to get over these logs. And you don't even have to do that either because you just ride through them. It's stupid. So basically what you got to do, you go from right to left. And you pull a wheelie as you approach the log. These logs are diagonal across the road. And then as your front wheel goes over it, you then have to pull down and fire, I think, and then that puts the front wheel down and the back wheel up. So you kind of got to go in, trying to keep... It's stupid. Then you get to the fire hoops, and these fire hoops are suspended in the air, and you have to go really fast, and you have to sort of dive through them. But the way you dive through them, you leap magnificently from your bike, and you're almost like Superman. You're in the air for that long. It's crazy. It's so stupid. And then I don't know. It just said, you haven't done anything. There's no feeling that you're going through fire hoops. It's just really, really bad. There's nothing to this. The visuals are budget. The sound's budget. The gameplay's ultra budget because there's no gameplay here, barely non-existent. I didn't think this was a good thing, no matter which way you look at it. It's not a simulation of riding a stunt bike, is it? Stop putting the name simulator on the front and back of everything. It's just not.
No simulation.
It's not, and I didn't like this. I thought 40% was generous. Having got to those later stages, or the next two, I was like, no, I would not want to go back to this. And it was just a bad thing. I thought, I really didn't like this. But I could see if you're thinking, oh, the rest might be all right. It's not. That hang glider one is probably the best one.
No, it figures. And I think my point earlier was that had they made this more comedic, so had they made him fly off and, a bit like that, what was that film where there's the stuntman and he's...
Oh, you thinking Hot Rod?
Yeah, so if this game was like Hot Rod, so if it had that kind of humour in it, so the aim of the game was to become the super stuntman and show off, but you had to try and pull off crazy stunts. That would be more akin to a stunt bike simulator. Yeah. Not this, though.
A stunt bike simulator, I was expecting to do jumps over cars and things like that.
Knievel stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Same. But not this nonsense.
I mean, Kickstart's better at that than this is, and that's not even a game called Stunt Bike Simulator, is it?
It's not. No, this was not good.
Eddie Kid, it ain't.
This is certainly not Cool Beans. I can say
cool
that.
Cool Beans. It's not.
Cool Beans. There we go. Stunt Bike Simulator, our second S game, and we didn't like that one. Let's move on to our third S game of the week. And that one is Scuba Kidz with a Z at the end.
Get down with the kids.
Scuba Kidz. Okay, another budget one. This is £2. It's another week, and it's more budget stuff from Silverbird. It just keeps on coming. Obviously,
can't be stopped.
Cannot be stopped. This Scuba Kidz, coded and drawn by Andrew Betts, and with music by Wally Beban again. Wally Beban makes his second entry of the week. According to the instructions in this, one of the evil sea lords has kidnapped some of the kids with a Z and is holding them in an undersea chamber. As the best swimmer, you have been asked to save them. Swim through 8 reefs, unlocking the Sea Lord's doors and fighting the fish with your bubble gun. Be careful, as some routes you may take will leave you high and dry. Why? Evil Sea Lord? Why has he got doors in his reefs?
Stupid.
What's going on? But also as well, some routes will see you high and dry. No, they don't. They leave you low and wet because they trap you. High and dry is good. It means you breathe. Anyway, Essentially, okay, so this is essentially a side-on kind of bi-directional scroller, I guess. Although you want to be traveling to the right, but you can go back on yourself. So it scrolls left and right, but you'd want to be traveling to the right. That has you swimming through a series of levels to make it through to the next one. It's pretty simple. Each level starts with you swimming in from the left. There's not much of a title screen to this. You just go, and then you are left to make it through on your own. As you progress, you need to keep an eye on your air meter, which slowly depletes as you stay underwater. Should this run out, then you explode. Wow, which seems an odd thing to
just
do when
like real world.
It seems an odd thing to do when drowning, but there you go. All those people who drowned. He's like, how do you know he drowned? Well, he was in pieces, legs and arms everywhere.
Yeah,
he just exploded. Okay. The way through to the end of each level can be tricky. There are dead ends aplenty and evil fish waiting to sap you of your air, so you need to be careful as you progress. There are quite a few items you can pick up to help you though. And these are an air tank, which allows you to stay underwater for longer, or they fill your air supply if you already have one. There's the bubble gun, which allows you to shoot bubbles to destroy the evil fish. There's a double bubble, which allows you to shoot faster. There's a bubble up and down, which fires bubbles up and down. There's a cunning disguise, which makes you look like a fish or a monster or something, and stops the fish from attacking for a short period. And there are fast flippers, which allow you to swim faster. And there are finally keys to pick up, which you need to unlock the doors in the Sea Lord's reefs. For whatever reason, there are doors there that these allow you to progress through the environment. Some of the environments can be destroyed with the bubble gun, and you will need to figure out which bits in order to progress. At the end of each level, you are set upon by a shark, which you need to avoid and destroy with your bubble gun. Should it touch you, it's game over. You're in bits again. It's game over. You only get one life, and so it's back to the beginning with you. If you get done by the shark gets faster with each end of level as well. It gets more and more tricky to destroy. It comes swimming at you. Okay. And that's it. Yeah, so that's a bit harsh for a bonus stage. There you go. So that's about it. That's what you do. So you've just got these sort of more levels as you go along. They get a bit more complicated. You get more power-ups. There's more fish to shoot. But essentially, you're just moving left to right, shooting fish, trying to work out the way through. Like I said, if you run out of air, so you don't want to be going down dead ends because you run out of air and then you explode. Whatever. The visuals they're nice enough for a budget game. They're okay. They're quite bright, a little bit strange in their colour choices. Some of the reefs are a bit garish, should we say? But the fish look like fish, I guess. Everything moves at a decent pace. I didn't notice much in the way of slowdown. You can shoot quite fast. You shoot your bubble gun. You can swim quite pacily. It's all right. The exploring and blasting is fun enough. I thought the challenge will keep you going for a while. There's 8 levels to try and work your way through. Once you know where to go, I don't think you're going to do this, but to get all through, you'll be playing this for a little bit. It's perfectly acceptable budget fodder for a Sunday afternoon, I thought. This, if we go back to our old terminology. The music by Wally Bevan is pretty good. The sea effect's quite nice. It sort of moves up and down, like a sea would do from the side-on effect. So it's okay. The music adds pace to the levels. The whole thing, I thought, hangs together pretty well. It's not going to set your world on fire. We've played others like this recently. There's that other crap underwater one where you were the submarine, submarine or subnautical, something or other one. I can't remember.
God knows.
But it was rubbish. I remember that. But I thought this was a competent £2 blaster for what it is. It is a side-scrolling shooter, but you can go back and left to right, and you're trying to explore these underwater caverns or whatever. And it's all very, it's one screen, it's just left to right. But it's got a bit of an original hook to it, it's a nice look. It's okay. It's all right. It's not bad. What did it get? It got 66%. I'd be happy with about that. I think it's okay. I've no problem with this. Scuba Kidz, it's all right. What did you think?
Do you think it's okay by any chance? Because you said it like 20 times.
I know. I don't know what else to say about it.
It's okay. I think it's okay. It's okay. I think it's okay. It's okay. It's all right. Yeah, it's okay. It's a bit of an odd curio, this, isn't it?
It's okay.
Bit of an odd curio. Really weird soundtrack. I like it, but it's weird. There's no way around that. Weird. Starts off nice and, ding, do, 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 do. You get the nice do, 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 do. You think, it's kind of oceanic. Then it goes, hey, hoo, hey. Like, what the hell's that noise? And it goes, hey, hoo, hey. It's really weird samples in that. Really, really strange. I like it, but it's very strange. Nice graphics, good code base. Uses the top and bottom border in the game, doesn't it? Quite nice idea, that. Mm-hmm. Simple, if slightly flawed design. Similar in nature, actually, to that good old Durrell game, Scuba Dive. And that was 1983 on the Spectrum. There was a 64 port of that.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, Scuba Dive was a good little game. You had to use a diver, and you had to dive down and collect treasure from. And the deeper you went, the more monsters and things you found. Pretty cool back in the day, that. Played that back on a Spectrum 16K, I think, maybe even. Anyway, long time ago. Anyway, this plays all right, but it is just a bit of kind of a dull, watery shooter, isn't it? It's just samey.
Yeah.
This odd logic choices, though, I want to shoot spear gun if I'm underwater. I don't want to shoot bubbles. Spear gun. If I'm old enough to have a scuba diving suit on and that, I can have a spear gun. It does feel underwatery, but there's really odd colour choices. But, maybe underwater is oddly coloured. We don't know. Well, no, we do. But we don't. I don't go underwater a lot. I don't like scuba diving.
Well, corals are quite weird colours, aren't they? They're all bright coloured.
Can be. Yeah, if they're not, dead from all the pollution.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Main issue for me here was just that single life, because it makes the game quite hard.
Yes.
You can top up your air, but one life exploration of a game like this with, random little air things, and your air soon runs out. It's all right for a budget game, innit? £2. I'd have been happy with it. I think I had this, actually, and I didn't pay £2 for it, which is terrible, innit? Poor Andy Betts, he's probably sat there £2 short of something he really needs right now going, I knew it.
It might be, yeah. Do you know what it did remind me of, though? It's the underwater, and I know it's not the same, but it's the underwater levels in some of the Mario games.
Yeah, it's got that vibe. It does feel like it's underwater. I'll give it its due.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'd say, didn't Andrew Betts, who did this, didn't he have something to do with Proteus and
he did Warhawk.
Warhawk, yeah.
Yeah, Warhawk, yeah.
Warhawk.
And Eyeball too.
There you go. So it does feel it does feel underwatery.
Yeah, it's okay.
God's sake. I remember it for that music. The weird music really stuck with me. As soon as I loaded it, I was looking forward to hearing those weird sounds again.
Yeah.
I don't even know what sounds they are that generated that. It's that weird.
Okay.
I don't know what devices used to make them noises. Who knows?
All right, there we go. Scuba Kidz. It's not bad.
It's watery.
It's watery. It looks like it's watery. It's a watery game. There we go. That's Scuba Kidz. Let's move on. We've got one more this half, and it's another S game. Let's get into it. Graham, Scorpius. Tell us all about Scorpius.
Scorpius is another Silverbird game. Bloody hell, they're on a roll, aren't they?
I know, it's triple Silverbird bill.
They're only allowed to release games that start with the letter S as well, by the look of it.
I think so.
This is $1.99. It's a Silverbird game. 71% in Zap. Developer was Daisy Soft, apparently. They did Skateboard Joust. Skateboard Joust.
Jesus Christ.
Coded by Delvin J. Sorrell. He did Super Robin Hood. Another game. Have we not come across that? Super Robin Hood.
I don't know. We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to go back at some point, and I think we're gonna have to sort of investigate some of these that Zap didn't.
The games that
review.
Zap forgot.
Yeah.
Super Robin Hood, and also Michael Smale, some of the coding. And the graphics, John Rowlands, Stephen Hall, and Steve Rowlands. And the title screen was Steve Hall. The musician was Steve Rowlands and John Rowlands. There's the whole Rowlands gang in this. They did Creatures and Retrograde music, by the way, so interesting that. So this is a shoot 'em up, isn't it? And the planet LRV 1168 is registering high levels of toxic gases released by underwater tunnels. Have you been
what?
there? LRV 1168.
Okay, so it's not the alien planet then.
No, that's LV 426, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Have I been where? Have I been there? Probably.
Well, if it's got toxic gases released from underwater tunnels, I'm pretty sure you have been. You and a friend mount your aqua gliders and go and investigate. Problem is, there is a large beast in the depths who doesn't like strangers going through its tunnels, so he has sent minions to get you. That's the story of the game.
That is it.
That's it. That's all there is. That's all she wrote. Exciting, isn't it, that?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a competent, if somewhat rote, side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. It lacks some of the polish that others have, I felt. It does have some nice backgrounds and some decent sprites, although the scrolling is a tad jerky. It has kind of a weird 3D effect, but that's sort of all you can really say about the way that plays out.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a sort of a reasonably elaborate title screen. I didn't realise when I kind of just shot past this and sort of got into the game, because you go past the title screen is not much of a giveaway. It's quite a nice typeface.
Yeah.
It's not much of a giveaway. It's got like the Scorpius writing at the top, and then you've got sort of produced by and all the kind of credits, game credits.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of sort of shot past that, really. So, because I think you can play it 1-2 player, and I think you can play it simultaneously as well, can't you, this? So
I think so, yeah.
But anyway, I just sort of shot past that because I thought it's just shoot 'em up. I'm going to get straight into it. And I didn't realise it until I'd sort of read a bit more about it that I was actually on some kind of aqua scooter thing. I just thought it was a guy on a wobbly motorbike type
a wobbly egg.
Yeah. Just on a wobbly like egg thing, yeah. This game is a very, very, these are the adventures of Brown, aren't they? And
Oh, that first level, yeah.
first level's very Brown, and it's endless because the levels in this game go on forever.
Yes, they do.
Like, goodness me. I mean, I know one of our patrons has done a long play of it. It's like, it's hours. It must be hours. Like, it must have taken him hours to get through that. Bloody endless they are. So the graphics are a bit odd in this, I felt. It's the side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, essentially, and it's in the tradition of you're on the left, the screen scrolls from right to left, you traverse from left to right. Normally festooned across the top and the bottom of the screen are the background details which you must not smack into, and then you will be menaced by varying different spinnies. Things will spin, some will spin and zoom, some will zoom and spin, and they're just, avoid the stuff, shoot the thing. The way you shoot in this, you've got like these, you can get power-ups in this game, maybe.
And you must.
Because you start off with like a really sort of crappy one-shot thing that's sort of, it's hard. So you've got to upgrade fast. Speed, and you need to upgrade your rate of fire, because your rate of fire is really lame.
Yeah.
And then you start to see, as you go through the game, there's quite a lot of enemy sprites on the screen, but it is, it's not going to light anybody on fire with its amazing scrolling, but there's a lot going on. And then you'll start to see letters appear on the screen. And as you shoot the letters, you can collect, and each one represents a different thing. Now, I didn't have a list of them everywhere, but I think they were pretty obvious, because it starts off, I think there was an M and there was an S, I think.
Yeah, so I think you got S for speed up, you got P.
Yeah, PRDMINX there is. And each one does a different thing, because what is basically, the mainstay at the initial game part of the game is speed up. And as you gather them, you'll get sort of shots up, up at angles. Your shot rate will increase. You get like a laser thing, and there's all that kind of rapid fire, and you need them. You will need them, because if you don't, some of these enemies take multiple hits to shoot, and if you haven't got the rate of fire, you won't kill them, and you will be dead.
You will, yes.
So the game takes up most of the screen. There's a UI at the top giving lives, score, and information about your upgrades, and you are at top, like I said, of some kind of submersible, generally affronted by the creatures that zoom in to menace you, more often than not. All standard shoot 'em up stuff. Patterns, loops, zippy zappers. You see the letters, like I said, and so that you can collect upgrades, giving you that kind of multi-shot weapons. All the stuff, it's a shoot 'em up, so of this type. I felt that the graphics are a bit of a mishmash. On the one hand, some of them look okay, remembering that this is £2.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, they sort of look a bit bitty and a bit just naff. And the backgrounds have got this really weird blurry effect, which after a while made my eye go funny. So it's sort of meant to be 3D, and it does kind of work, but because it's not very smooth, it's just a bit twitchy and a bit, I don't know. It's £2, isn't it? I'm starting to think, it's £2. The levels do feel a bit over long, it has to be said. I mean, I got all the way through the end of level 1 and it took what it felt like forever. And then when the level 2 came on, I was like, oh, it's just like more of the same.
But with a different colour.
Yeah, different colour. And it was going on and on and on forever. I'm like, oh my. And the enemies the patterns get really wild. There's loads of sprites on the screen at one point. I'm just like, oh, I don't know if I can be bothered to try and keep going. If you do die, you've got a number of lives, haven't you? 3 lives, I think. And if you do die, then you don't go to the back at the beginning. You do kind of start. You can get a little bit of pickup on your, where you left off in terms of your upgrades, but it's not very forgiving. And so, relatively nice parallax effect aside, which it tries to give it depth. I think it's just the bitty movement and everything. It's not a terrible game. I don't think it deserves 71%. I don't think it's that good. There's better cheap shooters than this one. And it all felt a little bit thoughtless and a little bit mindless, which was my chief complaint for this. I know it's only £2, but it just felt like it was it just made a shooter and gone, right, there we go. There wasn't much more thought to the sort of process. What was the other one? We played one that had no score in it about 2 or 3 episodes ago.
Oh, the one from Rayburn.
Poltergeist, wasn't it? Poltergeist.
Yeah.
I thought Poltergeist was a better shooter than this.
Yeah. Yes.
This just feels like it almost had something quite good considering the number of people on it. The sounds and everything are quite good on it. So all that's okay. It just isn't really superdonically exciting. It's not super exciting. It's just, it feels rote. It's something we've seen sort of a million times. I think it's just jumping on a bit of bandwagon here, but it is £2. So now that Sunday afternoon test's getting heavily, and this is a busy Sunday afternoon. We're talking here. I think, again, I would have been happy. If someone had got me this, I wouldn't have, I'd have played it for a bit. I don't doubt. I think I would have tired of it though, because I don't think you'd ever feel like you was ever going to get to the end of level 1.
No.
And the way it controls and everything else, you might not, because the upgrade tree is unforgiving if fallen foul of. So £2 though, but I don't know. I would have parked this more in the kind of 50 to 60%. It's just that kind of dull average that you give us something that just works, but is no. Right, you.
Well, I was completely ready to write this off at first as another one of those games where you're so woefully underpowered at the beginning now, and I died quickly for the first few goes. I was like, can't shoot anything. I've got 1 bullet and everything's too fast. But then I noticed I managed to take out a wave and got a power up and managed to be able to shoot faster. And then it was like, oh, okay. And then it started opening up and being able to get speed ups and stuff. And now I was like, oh, okay, turn me around on this a bit. It's a decent budget blaster once you level up. But like you said, the problems are the levels go on forever, just forever. And at one point, I thought I was shooting what looked like cooked chickens that was spinning towards me. Yeah. So there's a randomness to the sprites that's all over the place. And then there was another bit where I was getting menaced by lobsters that were sort of coming from top and bottom of the screen and coming along at a diagonal. It was very odd. But, it's underwater in it. I don't know. There was enough here to keep me entertained for a few goes. And it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't compare to the best of these kind of games. I mean, it's basically Salabrounder, isn't it? That's what I'd basically call this. Because it's Salabrounder in the fact that those opening waves, they're the same formations as you get in Salamander or Nemesis. Them sort of ones that come in and sort of diagonally go down a bit and then carry on again. Those waves. It's those waves. They're here. We've seen them before, and here they are again. But, rocking along on my floating bike was kind of cool. I kind of like the rocking sort of motion from side to side, the animation on it. And like you said, there's a lot going on screen. Just half the levels, if these levels had been half as long and twice as many, I'd have probably been more forgiving of this because it just felt you were never getting anywhere. The levels just went on and on and on and on and on. But, I didn't mind it after a few goes. Trying to work out what all the letters did. As you got more and more powered up and more letters appeared. So you got R and then F and then P and then X and then I and then E. And you were like, oh, what does that one do? And you were trying to work them out and none of them did much. F was the best one to get. If you got an M and then an F, you were sorted because F did sort of forward diagonal firing. And then you could just, let loose and that was all right. Avoid the S though. I found a couple of S's made it completely uncontrollable. It was so fast.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. So I found that was the most fun part of this, working out what the letters did, which I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah, I'm sort of in agreement with you. It's all right. But it just needed someone to come in and go, cut that level in half. God damn you. And double it up. Then we could say, instead of 3 levels, you got 6 levels. That sounds way better. It's the same amount of game, but, 6 levels, and give the players something to aim for. But yeah, Scorpius. Never played it before, never heard of it, but it wasn't terrible. It was all right. There we go. Lots of S's. Lots of S's. All the S's from Silverbird. So that's it. It's a strange half, that one. It's not much. Very average. A very average half.
Average budget is average budget, isn't it?
Average budget, yeah. There we go. That's the first half. We're going to go away, take a break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about film and TV from October 1988. See what was going on there. So please do stick around.
The novel Escape from the Commodore 64 by David Hearn is out now. Growing up in the 80s is a chore for Sarah, who feels misunderstood by her parents and badgered by Reese, her bothersome brother who incessantly prattles on about his treasured computer games. When Reese tells her one of the games tried to pull him inside the computer, she laughs off his fanciful fib. She waggles the joystick to disprove his fairy tale and is pulled into the computer. Now trapped in games she'd never had any interest in playing, how can she possibly beat them? With the help of feisty Nell, another trapped player, can Sarah find her way back home, or is it game over? An evil madman, a hostile planet, bloodthirsty robots, a never-ending throng of karate experts, and relentless digital soldiers will do their best to ensure Sarah never escapes. Available from Amazon and all good online retailers, find out if there's a way out of the beige bread bin of betrayal for Sarah in Escape from the Commodore 64.
And we're back. We've got film and TV from October 1988, so let us not dally. Let's get straight into the TV. Graham, on 3rd of October, finally, Ulster is the last in the ITV network to begin 24-hour transmissions.
Well, it had to happen eventually.
They couldn't be left out for too long. But like I said, let the power hour commence, or whatever it would have been.
So the Hitman and Her could be broadcast across the nation.
Yeah, probably. Aren't they lucky? Weren't they lucky?
I know.
6th of October, Thames, Border, Tyne Tees and Ulster air the final episode of The Sullivans, becoming the first ITV regions to complete the series.
Wow, was it a race?
I think they're just like, what have we started? This goes on forever.
Make them end, and make them end soon.
Yeah, good on them is all I can say. I posted a clip of the Sullivans there. You might want to have a watch of that. I don't know if you had a watch of that. It was,
I did. Couldn't remember a thing about it.
No, it's like the guy comes over and wants to go flying or something.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it going, what are you? Don't remember anything about it.
No, it was the title screen. What was the title sequence? One where the that's what I posted here. It's just I watched a clip of it as well. Good Lord, rang no bells. I think I just didn't take this in.
No, I don't know. It was on a time I wasn't aware of.
No. 11th of October, ITV airs the first episode of the 2-part miniseries Jack the Ripper, starring Michael Caine, Lewis Collins, and Jane Seymour.
But you want someone to keep you warm tonight.
They said they were finally solved the mystery of the Ripper. But, we all knew by this point that it was a 60-foot sea serpent.
From Scotland, yeah, we did. We knew who it was. It was obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah!
Wait a minute.
So this film was produced to coincide with the 100th anniversary of the Whitechapel murders. Okay, and was originally screened on British television in 2 90-minute episodes broadcast on consecutive evenings in October 88 to coincide with the dates of some of the original events.
Creepy and weird.
Advertising itself in advance as a solution to the century-old mystery of the murderers' identity using newly discovered original evidence. So the series revelation was that Sir William Gull was Jack the Ripper, but it wasn't new that. Stephen Knight's 1976 book alleged that Gull was the Ripper. Prior to that, the theory had been cited in the 1973 BBC TV series Jack the Ripper, 2 episodes of which were directed by David Wicks. Furthermore, the Ripper character in the film Murder by Decree, assigned the fictitious name Sir Thomas Spivey, was based on Sir William Gull as well. Bah!
Yeah. They like to wrap it all in the big mystery. It's weird how Jack the Ripper, a violent, serial killer as such, who mutilated his victims, became this kind of, let's just make TV shows about it because it's kind of mysterious and it's a mass murder and it's horrible. Nothing nice about it. It's just kind of horrible. And they're just all of this, who done it? Because it actually works. I remember watching it and it actually plays out a bit like a who done it. So it's like they explore different characters and it's like, could it be him? Could it be that kind? Not done in that obvious way, but that's the kind of Cluedo methodology.
Michael Caine.
It's a bit like that, though. It's sort
I think it could be him.
You're only supposed to rip off. No, I'm not going to say it. Anyway, so it was it wasn't the big revelation it was meant to be. And also, a lot of the facts in the show, there's a term we have to be very loose
We're very
with here.
wrong.
Well, they were wrong, and partly because they made some of them up and it was based on fiction, and also because they had absolutely no real police records or anything like that have anything to do. They didn't have any of the techniques that we now, obviously, modern policing have. Any of that. Mm-hmm. So the inspector would have come along and look at this and gone, there's definitely been a murder there. I could say that body and that. And they're going, right, who do you think did it? Don't know. Someone with a knife, very sharp knife. And then if you actually look at the more detailed facts about the murders, the kind of knife that was used was clearly surgical. So whoever did it had, but they say he had surgical knowledge. I don't know about that, but
William Gull.
I would defer everybody though, again, to a book called The Five by Hallie Rubenhold. It's called The Five, The Untold Lives of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper. Go and read it because it's exceptionally good. And it gives you a nice, proper story about, it gives you the kind of more information about the victims as opposed to it all being about some fanciful notion of, it's Saucy Jack, he's a haughty one kind of thing. We're going to make a musical about Jack the Ripper, as a Spinal Tap once said. Saucy Jack.
He's a naughty one.
Saucy Jack. Yeah,
He's
anyway.
a horsey one.
So go and read that book and don't get too wrapped up in there. Did you ever watch that film From Hell, by the way? The film called From Hell.
That's the Johnny Depp one, isn't it?
Yeah, that ain't good, that.
No.
Ain't good either.
No.
It's got Heather Graham in it, and it is, don't you keep me warm tonight? Kind of thing.
Pretty much. It's just about, it's not, is it worse than that other one, the crap horror film we did, Secret Window? Was it Secret Window?
He did Ninth Gate.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's actually quite funny. That's so unintentionally funny. Go just watching the last 10 minutes of Ninth Gate. It's always worth it for when the dude sets himself on fire and he's going, oh, I feel the power. It's hysterical. Though watching somebody burn is not the same.
Yeah, it's still make-believe.
Yeah.
14th of October, Play School is broadcast for the final time on BBC One. The last new edition was shown back in March. So, it's Slumtown now for Humpty and the rest.
And they noted that on the final song, when they played it, went that was the end of that. That was the final few notes, yeah.
By Play School. I never liked it.
And if you do see Humpty out there, please report to the police immediately. He's a dangerous criminal on the run.
Yeah, he is. He's after what he did to little Ted.
Yeah, exactly.
19th of October, Home Secretary Douglas Hurd issues a notice under Clause 13 of the BBC licensing agreement to the BBC and under Section 29 of the Broadcasting Act to the IBA prohibiting the broadcast of direct statements by representatives of supporters of 11 Irish political and military organisations. The ban lasts until 94. Denies the UK news media the right to broadcast the voices, though not the words, of all Irish Republican and loyalist paramilitaries. The restrictions, targeted primarily at Sinn Féin, means that actors are used to speak the words of any representative interviewed for radio and television.
Utterly stupid.
Yeah. So you can hear what they've got to say, but just not buy them.
You can hear the words, but you can't have everything. You know who's been working at the BBC there, right there, don't you? You got a bug in your hair. Yeah. Seriously, though.
These Sinn Féin, they got a gang of gimmicks.
Just pop the little what's it.
This is
Look
so
into
stupid.
the light. It's absolutely stupid. It deserves stupidity deluxe. And I remember watching them be babbled over by actors and thinking, this is stupid even then.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. 23rd of October, the final episode of Channel 4's groundbreaking youth music and current affairs program, Network 7, is broadcast. I thought this ran for longer.
I was just going to say, I thought it was on for longer than that. I wouldn't say it was groundbreaking. I think it was just the one we didn't seem to be speaking that long ago about, because this was what's her name, wasn't it? It was this,
Janet Street Porter.
Janet Street Porter's thing, wasn't it? Yeah,
I think so. I'm sure we discussed this recently. Didn't last very long.
I'm sensing a tremor. Did they have a change of head at the top of Channel 4 and came along and went, we don't like that show, get rid of it.
Maybe. 25th of October, as the 25th anniversary of the assassination of John F. Kennedy approaches, ITV airs the two-part documentary, The Men Who Killed Kennedy, a film which explores discrepancies and inconsistencies in the US government's official version of events.
Aye, get your tinfoil hats.
Aye, absolutely. I'm still don't think J.R. Oswald worked alone, but there you go.
I don't have any kind of stance on it because it's all crazy.
Well, yeah, it is. I do like the film though, even though there's problems.
I don't remember that version of it. It's all been superseded by JFK for me. So
what, the film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So The Men Who Killed Kennedy probably is a very interesting documentary, but I only remember JFK.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember this as well. I would have been really interested if I caught it, but maybe I did, maybe I didn't.
And I only really remember John Candy's character where he goes, "You got the right TT, but the wrong ho ho,"
What,
or
in the
something
film?
like that. Yeah, for some reason.
Oh yeah, that he does say that. That is true. He does. And Kevin Bacon's like gay, fascistic,
Yeah, that's
weird
right.
character.
Strange.
Very,
film.
very strange. Very strange. 30th of October, following the signing of a new 4-year deal to show exclusive live coverage of top flight English football, ITV begins showing a live game every Sunday afternoon. The first live game under that title was on 30th of October 1988 when Everton and Manchester United drew 1-1. I bet that was a thriller.
Wow. I bet everyone was on the edge of their seats.
Just boring.
Very boring.
So, he's kicked it forward. Oh, that was a goal. That was another one. And that's it for 90 minutes. And I love football, don't get me wrong, but that's not a good advert for it, is it? Same day, Firstborn, a 3-part adaptation of Maureen Duffy's novel Gore Saga, that's G-O-R, makes its debut on BBC One.
Oh.
Not to be confused with the football list, Gore, Charles Dance starred as a genetic researcher, Edward Forrester, whose work leads him to create a man-gorilla hybrid using sperm from an unknown sperm donor and cells taken from a female gorilla.
What the
He then
hell?
raises the baby, has his own son, only to find that there are horrifying consequences for playing God.
I tell you what, the banana bill every month is like, oh my God, I can't keep buying all these bananas.
Just
You will
weird.
buy them. All right, God's sake. All the fruit are available.
Just he didn't need to throw that papaya at my head.
And then he went on to have that career with Giddy, didn't he, in the Giddy game show? Gorilla's ready. That
I
was
thought you
him.
meant Charles Dance then.
Possibly both.
It could have been.
Charles Dance has had some weird old parts in things, but playing the dad of a man gorilla is probably not on his CV now. I think is
Man gorilla hybrid. Wow.
What is that? A man gorilla? A marilla?
I don't even know.
It's a manimal. He made a manimal.
He really did. He made a Simon McCorkindale, and for that he can never be forgiven. Just his cheeks went every now and again.
There's a part missing there, isn't it? When it says they've wrapped it up using sperm from an unknown sperm donor. I'm just like, it's just what? It's just why those things?
Because I think it's Dance's little peculiars that is used to impregnate the gorilla.
So the original name for this could have been Dances with Monkeys, couldn't it? But they're like, no, they're not technically monkeys. All right, call it something else then.
Dance Man Gorilla.
The Gore Saga. Okay.
I thought the Gore Saga. I remember the Gore Saga. I remember seeing them in the fantasy section in the bookstore.
Yeah, I thought they were
and stuff like
fantasy
that.
bought.
But I thought they were children of Gore and things like that. I thought they were like
Marauders of Gore. I didn't think it was a man monkey.
No, I certainly didn't. Maybe it's a different maybe it's a different book. Where do you get Gore from anyway? Maybe that's the name of the gorilla. Gore.
Yeah, I bet you that'll be the name of the gorilla. Won't
Gore
it?
the gorilla. God.
Yeah. Don't tell Andy Serkis, he'll be trying to get that remade.
You got any roles I can play? Play a great gorilla, monkey, anything.
Monkeys, gorillas, primates mainly.
Although I will stretch to a wombat. How are you going to be a wombat? Hang on a minute. Give me a minute.
If you've seen a wombat, not recently, I can be a wombat.
I can be a wombat. Otter. Anything. Badger. Do out.
I specialise in most unusual animals.
Do a great dinosaur. Don't need special effects. Just get me. Get me in.
Yeah, just get
I'll be
me.
fine.
Put me in a suit. I'll have you convinced there's a velociraptor running around your bedroom.
My bedroom?
Well, that's how he teased.
Did I not mention that?
That's how he tempted his wife.
Film.
That's how he met his wife.
With his real little arms.
Yeah, that's what he said to her. Come upstairs, I'll show you my velociraptor suit. Like, oh, you had me at velociraptor.
You had me at come upstairs. You lost me at velociraptor.
Yeah. Now, don't ever take that suit off and go and make a cup of tea.
I can't reach the handle. I can't pick up the cup.
Oh dear.
How did we get to Andy Serkis as a velociraptor?
Because he's a man monkey.
Oh yeah, that's how. Via a wombat.
Yeah.
I can't even think what a wombat looks like.
It's a man wombat. It's a mombat.
A one-man. A one-man band. He plays all the instruments as a wombat.
It's a wombat.
New shows this month. 2nd of October, something called Piece of Cake.
Stupid.
6-part television serial depicting the life of a Royal Air Force fighter squadron from the day of the British entry into World War II. 2nd of October, Hale and Pace started.
I wasn't a fan of Hale and Pace.
I hated them. I hated Hale and Pace. I hated them. I just couldn't. I never found them funny. Anything they did, just
I
never
only
liked
remember
anything.
that they did like that, the management thing, didn't they? And didn't they have a song out when they did that?
Yeah, they did the Stonk or something. They did
The
for
Stonk, that was it. That's got
for
something
children in
to do with
need.
this.
But also as well, the other one they had, didn't they do weren't they like children's presenters? They had sort of brushed forward hair, and they were like, it was like full of sexual innuendo stuff.
Yeah, something not very good.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
What happened to him though? Where did they go?
Don't care.
Maybe got killed by a tribe of man gorillas. Yeah, maybe they went to live with them. Just went off to live with them in a commune.
They could have done, yeah. They could have done loads of but they're trying to search for the real Andy Serkis in a gorilla in a gorilla pack. One of you's Andy Serkis. I know you are.
Which one is it?
Which one is it? It's just Andy Serkis with a bit of bushier eyebrows. They'll never know.
I can live like this for months, so you'll never know.
I love the idea of him. He's got no makeup or anything. He's just a bit heavier eyebrowed, and no one can tell them apart from a real gorilla.
Damn you, Serkis, you expert!
The only way to tell them apart is to ironically put him in a circus in a circus. 3rd of October, it's the Oprah Winfrey Show started over here.
Yeah, well, early that.
I like this. The Oprah Winfrey Show, often referred to as the Opera Show or simply Oprah. It's like the Whitney, innit? It was everyone knows this was the invasion of this sort of thing. This was the start, wasn't it? As far as I'm aware, of this kind of television format of a presenter in a big crowd and talking to the crowd about issues of the day and getting people on to talk about their problems, which would lead to Jerry Springer, Jeremy Kyle.
Yeah, loads of Trish Goddard. Kilroy Silk.
In America, you had that doctor guy, Doctor what's his name? Dr. Phil. There was like
loads of them.
Loads of them. And then obviously, the one on The Simpsons. Your tears say more than truth ever can.
None of them are good. I don't watch any of them. I mean,
it was Gentle Ben, wasn't it? The Gentle Ben one.
I mean,
no, Ben, no.
Oprah's less like Jerry Springer and more like she interviews people on a couch and say on a station. Yeah. Ellen is kind of where it's sort of, was before that got taken off. But
Ricky Lake as well.
Ricky Lake. Oh, of course, Ricky Lake. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Aye. Yeah. Also, 3rd of October, This Morning started.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? That begins right all the way back in 1988 with the. Of course, it was in Liverpool then.
It was in Liverpool, yes. It was at the Albert
Docks.
Albert Dock, yeah. It had the map on the water, didn't there?
It's still going. I mean, the show's still on air now, isn't it? With Phil and Holly Willoughby.
Holly Willoughby, yeah, and Dermot and what's her face, Andrew, someone. I don't watch it, so I have no idea. I don't have telly.
Yeah, they take it in turns doing it. And I don't.
On Friday.
I've seen
Amanda,
clips. Yeah, clips. I've seen the odd clip here and there. It's not something I'd sit and watch. I don't know who would, but of course Richard Madeley was the one that kind of famously had so many faux pas on that show. It's unbelievable, isn't it? And he does catalogues of them.
True, yeah. I did see a clip recently. I think it was on Gogglebox where they showed a woman marrying herself.
Yeah, it's kind of gone that way. It's gone that way.
Okay.
They're just often interviewing very deliberately divisive characters, and sort of trying to argue that they're talking about the points that people want to talk about. And it's like, you sure? You're not just doing a lot of it's just poverty porn on there and stuff like that, which isn't very nice. So.
No, it's not. They did a thing recently, didn't they, where you could spin the wheel and get your electricity bills paid for a year.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And not forgetting, of course, the backlash, the enormous backlash when they allegedly jumped the queue at the Queen's funeral. That didn't go down so well, did it? Because they were pretty much ostracised from society. You don't do that in Britain. Nobody queue jumps in this, especially that of all the queues you were going to jump, not that one, not the Queen's funeral queue. No. Bad move. I mean, they said they didn't jump it. Who says they didn't or they did? Who cares? But
the British queue.
At that point, you could do anything, but jump in a queue, bad enough. Jump in a really long queue, terrible. Jump in a queue that's to the Queen's coffin, you are committing social media suicide.
Especially when you had people like David Beckham queuing in line, cheering people up,
Exactly.
giving them crisps, things like that.
He did. Smokey Beckham crisps. Yeah.
He did, yeah. Good old Beckham. 3rd of October, again, Rapido started.
Rapido. I didn't watch a lot of Rapido, actually.
I did.
I saw bits of it.
Rapido. That's what I remember.
I remember it, but I didn't watch a lot of it.
So for those who don't know, it's a French music programme presented by Antoine Decon in 1987. After the BBC's head of youth and entertainment, Janet Street Porter, saw the programme, she decided to commission an English language version with Decon, which would become part of her Deaf 2 programming block on BBC 2. This is Janet Street Porter. We thought she was part of Network 7. Maybe she switched channel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember what Network 7 was. Anyway.
She turned channel.
She turned channel, yeah. The thing about Rapido and Antoine Decon, this is eventually going to lead to Eurotrash, And Eurotrash, as we all know.
Yes, it did.
It was the stock watching of a late night Friday night.
It was the adult version of Rapido, wasn't it, really? It's the same sort of presentation, but silly. And it had Jean-Paul Gaultier, didn't it?
Yeah, it was Jean-Paul Gaultier and Antoine Decon, and it was basically just, and that woman narrating it, and it was just odd things from various European countries.
Mostly boobs, really. Lots of boobs and naked stuff from places like Sweden and Denmark and curious things. And periodically, you'd have Pipi and Popo would be in there as well. And very strange program, actually, but funny.
Yeah, it was funny, yeah.
Very funny.
5th of October, Richmond Hill. Never heard of this. An Australian television soap opera that we've never heard of. You ever heard of it?
Oh, no. Another one from Australia.
Yeah, it was made 1988 by Reg Grundy. It was devised by Reg Watson, who also created Neighbours.
Wow,
it debuted in January 1988, and the series was only moderately successful, cancelled on 22nd of June 1988. Only lasted 6 months.
Oh, okay.
Obviously didn't catch on here. I watched the intro to it. It rang no bells. I just was like, nope, don't know what this is. Don't know what that was. 11th of October, The Return of Shelley.
Oh, Shelley. I remember Shelley.
Yeah, my brother used to make me watch this. Well, not make me. It was just, he used to watch it, and I was like happy to stay up and be on. So, for those who don't know, the original Shelley was a British sitcom. It was broadcast originally in 1979 to 1984, and starred Hugh Bennett as Dr. James Shelley, 28-year-old. And a sardonic, perpetually employed anti-establishment freelance layabout with a doctoral degree. By the time it got to Series 7, that was what this is, Return of Shelley, was broadcast in 1988. Time around, Shelley is still separated from Fran, who was his on-off love interest in the first series, and lives on his own, doing his best to avoid obtaining gainful employment.
More of the same. I remember, did it have a lot of fourth wall breaking in that show, or was that my imagination?
I don't know. I get this and Agony mixed up, the Maureen Lipman one, because they were around the same time. And I know obviously quite different, but I think maybe they did. I can't remember. Quite possible.
Yeah, I remember Hugh Bennett. I remember his character in it being quite sarcastic all the time. Yeah,
wasn't he in one of the Doctor's films or Carry On Doctor's films?
Yeah,
he's a patient.
In loads of them.
He's a patient in it, one of them. Yeah, around that
and
time.
It's almost, if you imagine a odd old sort of middle-aged man playing a version of sort of a British Garfield type character, it's not far off that really kind of idea. That sort of
yeah, that's
kind
true.
of humour.
13th of October, Alexis Hale's Stuff started.
Good show that was.
Yeah, British television comedy sketch show. Ran for 18 episodes over 3 series. I used to like this. Thought it was funny. I always liked Alexis Hale's Stuff. It's very, very unusual.
Very off the wall, lefty humour, wasn't it?
Yeah, and just really quite surreal at times.
Yeah, very, very.
So yeah, I used to enjoy that. 17th of October, Wyatt's Watchdogs.
Don't remember that at all.
No, BBC. It's another one of those sitcoms from the BBC. Written by Miles Tredinnick. It only transmitted. It only got 6 episodes. Then was gone.
Okay.
14th of October. Going back. Sorry, that was 14th of October. A Taste for Death.
Okay.
It's a 1986 crime novel by the British writer P.D. James, the seventh in the popular
P.D. bloody James.
Adam Dalgleish series. The television version of the novel was produced for Britain's ITV network in 1988, starring Roy Marsden as Adam Dalgleish.
Nope, I won't be watching that.
No. I always thought, was your mum a fan of that?
That's the sort of thing if she was going to watch something. It's actually more likely with her, the sort of thing she'd insist we videotape, and then it would be just on a videotape for the rest of time. And nobody's allowed to use that tape, watch that tape, record over it, do anything with it. It was just on there.
Would it have its tab removed?
No, it would, because it would be written on the side, and then even though we'd tape over it, and then 6 years later, my mum would go, "Oh, I think I'll watch that Taste of Death. Have you taped over it?" It's like, this has been on there 6 years. Of course we have.
The statute of limitations is gone.
Look, it was on there 6 minutes. So no, it's just that's the sort of thing she would make us tape. So.
As soon as it finished, I rewound it and just recorded whatever was on.
There's been
Hitman
many
and
times
Hair.
where I've done just that. Yeah, it probably did have old episodes of a Sledgehammer or something on it.
Yeah, or probably us miming or doing a mic over something or other.
Yeah, dubbing the
Yeah.
audio on something. Yeah.
20th of October was Charlie Chalk.
Thank God it skipped me that weirdness.
Yeah, this is a British stop motion animation series. It tells the story of Charlie Chalk, a jolly clown who, after falling asleep whilst fishing out at sea, ends up on a strange island by the name of Merry Twit.
What?
Characters had to be aware of coconuts, which constantly fell from the trees on the island.
What a strange little thing that is.
Yeah, never heard of it.
No.
I did have a watch of the first episode, and that's the image I took from it. Big giant pink elephant.
Bizarre,
in
though. I do like
dungarees.
those. I like those early stop motion things like that.
Yeah, they're weird. 20th of October, The River, a British TV series from 1988 starring David Essex.
Oh, gosh.
The River follows the tranquil life of lovable Cockney ex-convict David Jackson, who
course
played by
it is.
David Essex. I've heard enough. Does he ever play anything other than a lovable Cockney?
No, he is one. No, he is just.
We've got a part for a lovable Cockney. Not you, Serkis. Not you, Andy Serkis. He's not an animal.
They've just got a telephone and a desk, and it's just got one button. It's just the David Essex button. Get me David Essex right now.
A whole new world.
We'll start all over again.
29th of October, Hearts of Gold.
I remember that.
Really? Oh, yes,
Yeah.
it's the Esther Ranson one, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
where they
yes,
give
I
out
did.
things for being nice to people. didn't
I
they?
hated it. I hated this. My heart is too full of bile and hate for this saccharine nightmare.
I don't think it's really aimed at your demographic. This was aimed at keeping grannies happy with a cup of tea.
Yeah, true, it was. Not me. I was like,
I mean, the irony of it, it's got Esther Ranson, who had ferociously large teeth, and a woman in it called Carol Smiley, who also has ferocious teeth. It's a teethy show, that. Very teethy. Very toothy.
Yeah, true. But it was not for me. Did
No.
they used to give out like some kind of awards and stuff for people being
Gold
nice?
hearts. Yeah.
Gold hearts. I
They did exactly what they said on the tin. Though,
I never got one.
Did you do anything that was worthy of Esther Ranson?
No. I still wanted one, but I would have fated it anyway and I'd thrown it back at them. I don't want your rubbish. I'm an anti-establishment 16-year-old. And I've got my Yogi Bear t-shirt.
It was when TV started to pat people on the back a lot more. Than I think there was a general feeling that TV wasn't giving anything back to communities other than once a year when they did Children in Need and things like that. So a lot of these little shows started to spring up. There was one where they used to reunite people. Then it was sort of a little bit of remit fill-in.
Was that Cilla Black one?
Yes.
Was it
Surprise. Yeah.
Right.
But-
Surprise.
You thought he was dead, but he ain't.
No, he is. Who's this then?
You thought he died, but turns out when you put a pillow over his head, he didn't push it hard enough, and he's still alive and he's here now with a crowbar. Don't know why I do that weird voice. That's not anything like
That's not
Cilla Black. But
You've turned into what's his face from George Michael. You look now like him.
you know what? So if Matthew Kelly's involved, he probably was. He's a nice guy.
You thought he'd buggered off. He had. We couldn't
He did.
find him,
But now he's back.
and we asked him
In
to come
pod
on.
form.
We asked him to come on the show, and he said no.
Well, surprise. He's got your shoes. But most boring episode ever. Oh, thanks. Thanks for that.
Surprise!
Wouldn't we they'd gone?
He's got that fiver he borrowed off you 3 years ago.
It's the surprise where they get really low on surprises. He said he'd bought you a present, but it turns out it was a book. Oh, that's great. Great
It's a
surprise. Act surprised then. Okay. Hey.
More surprised.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
31st of October, just around that month. This is David Lander. It's a TV show.
That.
No, I watched the first episode. It was okay. It parodies Roger Cook-style doorstep in investigative journalism shows. It starts Stephen Fry as David Lander. So the first one is basically about this builder who Caroline. Oh, I can't remember the names. You'd recognise them, but
Caroline Aherne, is it? Oh.
No, it's not her. It's her who used to be in Jonathan Creek in the first few series. Can't remember her name.
Yeah. Caroline Quinton.
Caroline Quinton, yeah. So he's basically interviewing them. They're like, yeah, we couldn't use the bedroom because it blew up.
Okay.
And we couldn't use the second one because that blew up. And the builder said that it was just a cat that came in and spontaneously combusted. And David, it's done like a Roger Cook documentary. So they go off and find people and they, chasing them in the car and stuff like that. But but Stephen Fry doing that, it was okay. Not sure it lasted very long, but
Okay.
there it is. That was that. That's it. TV, film. 7th of October, you could have gone to see Midnight Run.
I felt it was out earlier than that, Midnight Run, but it's a very good film, Midnight Run.
I thought it was earlier. I mean, it probably is in the States, isn't it? But over here, we don't get them until quite late. So it is a funny film, Midnight Run.
It is.
Midnight Run is Charles Grodin, Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro is he not bounty hunter? He's a bondsman, isn't he?
Is a bond collector, yeah.
Bond collector, and he's gone to pick up Charles Grodin, who is wanted by the mafia, I think.
He's a money launderer for them, isn't he?
He's a money launderer, and he's got to get him across the country safely.
Because he's breached his bond, so he goes and gets him, and he's got to take him back. Yeah.
But the thing is like whoever brings him back gets the money for the bond, and so there's that other guy who's out of Beverly Hills Cop also trying to get him.
Yeah. Yes, there is.
And it's a little bit Planes, Trains and Automobiles.
It is kind of a buddy sort of almost a sort of that kind of thing in it. It is very Planes, Trains and Automobiles. Actually.
Yeah, because they're traveling across America and they use lots of different methods of traveling because they all go tits up, don't they? If I remember rightly.
Yeah, because he won't fly, will he? Charles Grodin's character, he doesn't like to fly because it freaks him out.
Yeah.
So when he actually takes him initially, he's going to just fly him back to Los Angeles. They've got to get back to, haven't they?
Yes.
You've got to go and pick him up and get him back to Los Angeles, essentially. But when he gets in the plane, he freaks out. These things go down. These things go down. It's really funny. It is a really funny film.
Yeah.
De Niro's ace in that film. It's one of his greatest roles.
It is. It's the first one where he showed a really good comedic turn.
Yes.
And it is good. I watched it. I watched it not too long back actually, and thoroughly enjoyed my time with it.
And Yaphet Kotto's in it as an FBI agent, and De
Niro's
character steals his FBI badge and pretends to be him all over the place. It's really funny.
Yeah,
really funny.
Yeah, I remember that. 14th of October. If you wanted more comedy, you could have gone and seen A Fish Called Wanda.
So that's the
John Cleese, Michael Palin,
the
Kevin
sort of
Kline,
the Pythons, as it was, sort of Jamie Lee Curtis in it, and
yes, I mean I think this was the first time that Palin and Cleese had worked together since Meaning of Life, I guess.
Yeah, Monty Python stuff. Yeah, I guess it is.
So this was seen as a bit of a return of a sort of Monty Python, but it's
Eric Idle's in it as well, isn't he? As well.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of similar to Cleese's earlier film, Clockwork. Was it Clockwork? Yeah. So Cleese plays a very uptight British barrister.
He's a barrister, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. And Kevin Kline and Jamie Lee Curtis are American sort of crooks. Right. And they are working with Michael Palin, who's, as you said, you wouldn't get away with this, but he's like a stammering bit of an idiot British
stammering
crook.
Buffoon. Yeah.
And they're trying to take out this old woman who's a witness to a crime that they committed.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. And it's basically her husband is in jail for, I think, a bank robbery, and he's hidden the money.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
And Jamie Lee Curtis is his gangster wife, as it were, and the barrister is representing him in court to try and get him off the charge. But she sort of falls in love with the barrister guy and then reveals that she's got the key to where the money is. And the guy with the stammer is just kind of the person that is like the henchman of the baddie, and he's trying to get him to do stuff, but he always cocks it up.
Yeah, and she's got 3 dogs, and he kills them one by one in very humorous ways.
And then the American guy, Kevin Kline, is his character is Otto, and I think that's her brother, or her lover. I can't remember what relation is to Jamie Lee Curtis's character, but he's quite funny in it as well. That's one of the films he's really, really funny in that.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's a well-written comedy. It's a very good comedy from that time. There's the great bit where obviously Cleese is dancing naked and the kids walk in and uses a photo of them to cover his nether region.
There's some good moments in that, especially when he's eating all the fish in the fish tank. It still makes me laugh to this day. And although it is a not very nice joke in a way, but when he's driving towards him in that, he's stuck in cement and he's driving a steamroller towards him and he goes, "Oh no, Ken is coming to kill me."
Yes.
Apologies for that, but I didn't write that joke. But it is quite a funny moment in the context of that film.
Yeah, it's good. It's a bit of a classic, British classic.
Yeah, it is.
Good one. 18th of October, you could have gone seen Double Revenge, as if one revenge wasn't enough.
That looks so crap.
This does look crap. I watched the trailer, awful. The production company there was Smart Egg Pictures.
Oh, that's got to be a good sign, surely.
So this is an innocent bystander goes on a vendetta against a bank robber. It starred Joe D'Alessandro, Vinny Aguero, and Julie Areola.
They don't sound like quality names.
No, there's the picture for it. Look at that picture. Looks awesome.
Jeez. Oh my God.
That tagline, "What happened to law and order is a crime."
Look at that. Terrible, terrible thing.
Yeah, that was that. However, 19th of October, you could have gone to see Nuki.
I don't remember anything about that. I'm
No.
glad as well. Like, what is that? A monkey turd.
That's Nuki. An alien called
What is
Nuki
that?
searches for his brother Maiko, who has been captured by the US government.
See, this is when Charles Dance's first version of the Man Gorilla went wrong.
And he produced a Gary.
That is a cross between a monkey and a turd, which many people have said about Gary as well. Not me, though. Not me.
Not me. I've never said that either. That's a mean thing to say, but no. But what is that?
I don't think it's a nice thing.
I don't know. It's zapping something out of his little finger. But I love the it just says wait. I don't know why.
I'm not waiting for that. No.
No, it looks horrific and horrendous. It looks like a crap. What was that one with the alien going around? Mac and Me. Remember Mac and Me?
Yeah, of course I remember Mac and Me. The
looks-
one that's sponsored by McDonald's.
That one, yeah. The one. It looks sort of similar in style to that nonsense. Awful.
Yeah, it's not good, that.
No. 21st of October, though. You could have got a bit watery-eyed, seen Tom Hanks in Big.
I wasn't a fan of these movies, these swap body movies.
There was loads of them, though, after this, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the first. I don't know what the first is. Probably Freaky Friday or something. The original with
That's the first one I remember.
Jodie Foster.
Friday.
I looked for just some info around these, and I found some sort of the best body swap films. And most of the list, you know what? Can you guess what is number one?
I would have said Big, probably, but
Face Off.
I suppose it is a body swap. It's not very good.
It's not very good.
It's a face swap more than a body swap.
It's just ridiculous. But yeah, anyway, Big was it was huge one at the time. It was a massive
big. He's very
deal.
good in it. He is very good in that, actually. He plays that kiddie character quite well.
Yeah. So the story of this is that as a kid's not happy. I think he likes a girl. He wants to be big. He wants to be grown up. So he goes to like this Zoltar machine and a sort of down on the docks in this old sort of
He does.
Thingy, and he wishes to be big. And then he wakes up the next day and he's Tom Hanks.
He is.
He's big.
And he immediately wakes up and has a watery-eyed Tom Hanks.
He does. Because he can. And then he goes and gets a job on, in a toy store, because he's got that kiddie, vibe, so sensibility and stuff like that. And he falls in love with this woman, and then she watches him go back at the end, and he's a little kid again. And she's all a bit weird when you think about it.
Yes, weird when you think about what they've been doing, yeah.
Yeah, this is a bit strange. But that was big. There's the classic scene where they dance on the giant piano.
Yeah.
And other bits. I think I went to cinema to see it. I think it's all right. I don't know. Yeah. 21st of October is The House on Carroll Street.
Okay. Don't know anything about that.
I think I've seen this. It's a 1988 American neo-noir directed by Peter Yates. Starred Kelly McGillis, Jeff Daniels, Mandy Patinkin, and Jessica Tandy. It's set in the 50s and follows a photojournalist who blacklisted after refusing to disclose names to HUAC, which is the House Un-American Activities Committee, stumbles upon a plot to smuggle Nazi war criminals into the United States. That took a turn, that plot.
Yeah, just a bit of an odd plot.
Yeah. I think I've seen it, but I don't remember anything about it.
No, I don't ring a bell. I normally would have, Kelly McGillis, I don't really remember if anything other than Top Gun. So,
that's pretty much it, really. That's all I remember for. But, no one was going to go see that, really, were they? They're going to go see the other film that was out on the 21st of October.
More than likely.
Because The Running Man is out.
It's time to start running.
I'll be back, only in a rerun. And other such things. So, do you like this film? Do you like The Running Man?
No, I don't. I think it's an awful piece of shit.
Really?
Yeah, it's crap. It's not a very good film. It's crap. Just there's moments in it I like, but it's camp. If we watch it, I watched it recently, and it's overtly camp in a kind of odd way. Even Schwarzenegger's character plays it up quite camp in that, and that's okay. And if you sort of take it in that respect, and it is very tongue in cheek. I think the irony of it was that people probably took it a lot more seriously in back then, and not serious, but more as a more serious action movie than it actually is. It's not. It's kind of very tongue in cheek and almost a Mickey take, really. But there's some funny bits in it. But
the weird thing is obviously because it's based on the Stephen King short story or the books or the novella or whatever. What he wrote under the name of Richard Bachman, so it's part of the Bachman story.
Loosely based,
and it's very, very loosely based because the book is incredibly different because they're running all across America, aren't they? It's essentially what that Pro TV show is, Hunted or Hunter.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Essentially, they get released into America and they're hunted across America and they're killed. And the whole point is to last for 7 days, I think it is, in the book.
Yep.
And I think in the end, I mean, it's quite thingy. Didn't he end up flying a plane into the business building, basically, to destroy it, bring it all down?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very, very different. It's massively different in tone because it's quite dark. Because he's doing it to save his kid or something, isn't he? I think in the book, if I remember rightly. I haven't read it for ages, but I seem to remember that. But the film it's so weird. It's so, like you said, it almost feels like it's quite European, but it's the only film directed by Paul Michael Glazier in it.
Yeah. Starsky or Hutch, whichever he was.
But it feels sort of, it's weird outfits. The sort of the hunters or whatever they're called.
Strange.
What are they called in it? Is it not gladiators? What are they called?
What are they called in that? Oh my gosh.
I can't remember what they're called, but you've got, Sub-Zero and...
Sub-Zero,
and
Fireball,
and all that kind of stuff. And it's so odd. Buzzsaw's the other one.
Buzzsaw. And you remember the electric guy, what's he called? Dynamo, is it?
Oh, Dynamo. Dynamo.
Dynamo. What are they called? There's runners and there's...
I honestly can't remember.
Why has that gone out of my mind? Yeah. It's because it starts off with him sort of not shooting loads of people, and they make out that he did. That's what gets him in jail, and he's in a jail where it's super high tech jail where your head blows up because they put these sort of explosive collars around your neck.
Yeah,
and he manages to escape out of that, and then ends up in a woman's flat where he breaks her gym, gets on a plane with a really weird Hawaiian shirt, and then ends up on a game show. You're like, what?
Yeah, who wrote this? How did you get from that guy going in a game show to save his son's life to this?
Yeah, and then it turns out that there's some kind of underground movement
run by Mick Fleetwood.
By Mick Fleetwood, who have got a base inside the game zone of this game show.
Yeah,
and that they're transmitting. They need to transmit some signal that will undo all of the things that have been done. It's all a bit odd, isn't it? Let's face it.
And then everyone listens to an old woman when she says, "I'm Ben Richards," whatever she says.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, because she decides against all the odds to vote because the idea of the game show, the Running Man, is that the people would bet on the outcome, and then these
on who would kill the runners. Which of the thingy? Who do they? Because it's Fireball they bring back in it, or Captain someone.
Yeah, because it's what's his name in it? There's one at the end that they bring back because there's a few. He kills them all. Essentially, they send. What the hell are those people called? Because it's really bugging me now.
I honestly can't remember.
What are they called? Stalkers.
Stalkers.
Yeah, they're called stalkers. So there's stalkers anyway. The stalkers essentially go into the games, and the idea is that they would normally kill the participants of this game show, and then people bet and win prizes on how quickly they'll do it and all that.
Yeah.
But in this particular one, Ben Richards, who's a trained killer, starts killing all the stalkers away, and in the end, they end up having to sort of. And actually, that is quite an interesting sequence where they get Jesse Ventura out of retirement. He plays someone called Captain something or
Captain
other.
Freedom.
Stupid. Captain Freedom. Captain Freedom's a wardrobe. Then they end up actually staging Richard's death because he disappears into the game grid and escapes, essentially. Yeah. So they stage it for the people by digitally matting his face over an actor, which is kind of interesting because nowadays you could actually do that. This was the stuff of science fiction back then, and that's exactly how they do stuff like that now.
Yes, yeah, they do.
It's crazy. So they just deep fake it at the end, essentially. So there's some really interesting future-facing parts. Lots of silliness in it.
Yeah, and also this is the second film this month starring Yaphet Kotto.
It is. Yaphet Kotto. Maria Conchita Alonso, of course. She's not great in that.
She's Amber Mendez. She's the one who owns the gym that he breaks.
Yes, and also, she gets thrown into the game because she cheated in college exams.
Yeah, those bits are actually quite funny. The bits where she gets in.
She had relationships with one, maybe two.
Yeah, there's some amusing moments in it, but it does fall apart, and it's not. I think it's tonally all over the place. Like Buzzsaw dies by having getting a chainsaw up between his legs. It's really horrible. There's that horrible bit where Dynamo tries to rape her towards the end. It's like,
yes, what I mean,
it's totally all over the shop.
I mean, the guy that plays Dick Killian, who's the sort of host of the show, is a guy called Richard Dawson, isn't he? And he's quite famous actor. So for him to play that kind of role was totally unusual. I think he was even a game show host on something like Family Feud or some big show over in the US.
Right.
So because he was a regular in those kind of shows, he plays that role very, very well in that film, even though it's a stupid film.
Yeah.
But he's particularly good in that. But there's hints of little bits of hints of little bits of RoboCop style thoughts in there, because there's little adverts in it as well where they do climbing for dollars, and there's little hints of RoboCop type. It's like they've stolen little tropes of RoboCop to put in where RoboCop has little adverts and stuff. So it's a curiosity and very strange. Apparently, there's a remake in the cards directed by Edgar Wright. So
really, I wonder if it's going to be more like the original Stephen King story.
Who knows? But that's the plan.
Who knows, indeed.
So go watch it, because it's always nice to see Yaphet Kotto in anything.
It is. See, this is related to royalty, as we all know.
And interestingly enough, the guy that played Dynamo is a guy called Erland van Leeth de Jude. Very strange guy. But if you want to see what he's like without his Dynamo costume on, go and watch the film Stir Crazy, because he plays Grossberger in that.
Oh, is that him?
That's him.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that was him. The tagline for this film is terrible on the poster. It is the year 2019. The Running Man is a deadly game no one has ever survived, but Schwarzenegger has yet to play.
Yeah, he was really ramping up the popularity in the action stakes now, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger, he was. I mean, he's good in that as well. He's actually he's got some quite good quirky one-liners and stuff. And remember, I could snap your neck like a chicken.
Oh, it's got...
Who forgets lines like that?
It's got Mick Fleetwood, hasn't it? Not worth losing your head over.
Good impression, that. Anyway,
so
go
crap.
watch that. Of all the crappy ones we've looked at this time around, avoid Nuki and go and watch The Running Man.
Yeah, it's worth it just for the pure cheese. It's
It
like it's the 80s version of 2000s.
It is.
So
and it's got the ultimate end credits song for an 80s movie. I mean, that end credits, no more lonely nights in a restless heart. Roll the dice. Go just for that. Which isn't on the soundtrack. But I remember when my mate Rick recorded me the soundtrack onto tape, he put that at the end. He's like, I've made it complete, because I know you like that song. I was like, I never even said I did.
But you do.
Go. I do like that song.
You don't like that song. But I do. Anyway, there you go. That's it. That's your film and TV. That Nuki picture's so weird. Running Man's probably the best out of that lot. Or Big. I mean, Big's or Midnight Run's probably the best out of that lot.
And Midnight
Fish
Run
Called
for a laugh,
Wonder.
yeah.
Fish Called Wonder as well.
Yeah.
There we go. We're going to go take a quick break. We'll be back. We've got 5 more games still to get through. No crap verts this week, I am afraid. Couldn't find any, but still 5 games to get through. So we'll be back in a moment. So stick around.
The novel Escape from the Commodore 64 by David Hearn is out now. Crash landing on a green planet full of vector graphics, can Sarah find a way to escape for real? Or is she stranded on a planet full of sun, sea, and chippy tea forever? Imagine finding yourself in a cinematic karate game, having to rescue a princess, or remain stuck under the run-stop key forever. What about finding yourself on a space freighter full of robots? Could you clear the decks? If you were transported back to a Wild West town, having to round up outlaws, could you survive until sunset? What if you were a wizard with a cat who must color worlds? Could you beat the game, or would a virtual guitar solo announce your demise? Sarah might just be another visitor, but she doesn't want to stay a while, never mind forever. Available from Amazon and all good online retailers, discover if there's a way out in Escape from the Commodore 64. Visit davidhearnwriter.com to find out more.
And we're back. 5 more games. Let's get into them. Graham, Ball Blaster. What's it like?
87% worth of Ball Blasta in this. $2.99.
High score.
£3. 3 whole pund. Published by Zeppelin Games, coded by Kevin Franklin. He did Draconis and Zybex.
He did, yeah.
Graphics are Michael Owens. He did Draconis and Zybex.
He did, yeah.
Title screen, Michael Owens.
What did he do?
Draconis and Zybex. And Adam Gilmore did the music, and he did Draconis and others as well, as well as Zybex and others as well. Nice breakout variant, this, I thought. Some nice graphics, great music. I like the music. The production's good here, actually. The production felt quite nice. Some nice ideas. You start the level in a standard way. Plays like Arkanoid, so you don't need me to tell you how these games play out. Hit the ball upwards to knock the bricks out, to get items, to then maybe kill and avoid some aliens along the way, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If the ball thing gets past you, you're going to lose a life. If you lose all your life, it's game over. No real alarming logic to this. eventually you'll destroy the necessary bricks to advance. And then if you do that from the first screen, you'll be onto a grid style view of all the levels connected together with you in the middle. You can choose the next level. So if you can choose a sort of, I think, a square around you, out of 61 in total. You can also, at those moments, assuming that you've collected cash from some of the bricks, which they do drop kind of cash points cash, you can buy upgrades for your bat with the things you've collected. Obviously, you need to have collected things for that to happen. Mm-hmm. And then on to the next screen, and more bat and ball. It's all right. There's some nice graphics in this game, I thought. Wasn't particularly ugly. It felt like is it Arkanoid? I said Arachnoid. I keep saying it. It felt like Arkanoid. It's got some nice background details, a little bit of brown in there as well. But the bat looked like Arkanoid to me. It's a lot closer to that kind of game than most of the others. In fact, it's probably a bit more like Arkanoid 2, actually. The Revenge of Doe. So it's like a budget Revenge of Doe, this really, in every way. I thought this had quite some nice graphics and sound in it. Lots of colour, lots of movement, and no real bugs in there to speak of. It played pretty nicely. I don't know if the frame rate was just a little under what you need it to be, just a tad, just a hair. But that said, I found it quite challenging and playable. You don't need to go too far into the in-depth analysis of something. It's a breakout game. It's a budget breakout game, and it worked really well and pretty good. It got a good review in Zapped this. I think they found it quite refreshing. The general feeling for this was that they hadn't had a good one in a while, and this one came along, and it's lots of colour, lots of nice stuff. Sounds really good, and it's got sort of a nice purchase upgrade kind of tree, which made it a little bit refreshing. And because I think you start off in this one with 3 balls, or they're not really balls. They're kind of we'll call them balls, but
they're balls.
The balls.
It's called Ball Blaster.
Yeah, it's the balls, and they sort of, obviously you sort of bounce them around, and you're going to get multi-ball and multi-bat and bat extenders and speed ups and all the sort of things you can get in this. So I thought this was nice. I will make a special mention of the music, because the music and sounds in this are really good. Adam Gilmore's got some really nice ideas for the music in this, and for £3, it's pretty good. I had no problem with it. First of a couple of these kind of games we're going to go for. I enjoyed it for what it was. And we hadn't had one since Arachnoid 2 that I'd really enjoyed as much as this. Yeah, Arkanoid. I don't know why I call it Arachnoid.
I don't know.
I haven't really played a game like that I've enjoyed like Arkanoid 2 as much. So when it came along, I thought it was good. But £3 isn't a bad price for that, is it? You get quite a bit for your money. 61 levels. And they're rock hard as well. The further you get into the levels, they might look scantily designed, because all the designs are very different. It's not just a wall at the top where you've got to break through. There's shapes and bits, and some of the bricks need a few hits, or they don't break at all, and you've got to sort of navigate around, and there's things attacking you all the time. It's pretty good. Did you like it?
Yeah. It's solid. Don't get me wrong. Everything about it's solid. I know what you say about the frame rate sort of thing. For me, I don't know if it's frame rate, but I thought this was really garish. I couldn't be doing with those backgrounds. That did my eyes in. So playing for it's too long. It's a decent Arkanoid budget clone that plays well. Had some interesting twist on the formula, but those I just couldn't. The backgrounds, like those cyan and grey faces.
I thought they were all right, but like you say, but after a while, I was probably immune.
Yeah, it made for me. It made. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a monitor or there was something, but for me, it made following the ball really hard. I couldn't track the ball properly. There was just something about it that was just doing my eyes in. And this made it quite hard for me to play. So it made it far harder.
It reminded me of that Gremlin one. That had a similar problem in some of the levels.
Crackout. Was it Crackout?
Yeah, I think it was Crackout. One of them where the bat was on the side as well as the bottom.
Yeah, it was Crackout, yeah.
That had a similar problem, I think.
Traz, maybe?
That was it, Traz.
Yeah. So yeah, far too often I just lost the ball amid the confusion of the background, and that's not a good thing in a breakout game. For a few quid though, it's good. It is decent. I just couldn't. I personally, I think it obviously didn't affect you, so that's fine. But I personally couldn't play this for long, no matter how clever it was, because the visuals just repelled my eyes. I needed to go into a dark room for a bit of a lie down. My head was spinning after it. I was just like a bit like, I can't look at it for too much longer. I don't know what it was. There was just something about that. It was either something about the backgrounds and the colour of that ball moving across them and trying to pass everything that just something about it made my eyes go a bit funny. So, don't know. It probably deserves 87%. There's a lot of nice stuff here, and there's a lot of cool design in places around it, and the music's good, and the visuals are nicely drawn, and it all does move smoothly enough, I guess. But for me, I couldn't play for very long. Weirder. Sometimes you just get these kind of combo of colours.
Come along.
Yeah,
it's playable as long as you can take it. It's not psychotropic in the Jeff Minter sense.
No,
but it is quite heavy on the eyes. There's a lot going on, and it's quite busy colour-wise.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think it needed those backgrounds to be quite what they were doing. I'm looking at one now, and it's like making me go, "Oh, don't like it, don't like it, don't like it." but otherwise decent. If you can stomach that, this is a very good budget Arkanoid variant with some of its own ideas. But there you go. There we go. That's Ball Blaster. Play it if you like it, I guess. Let's move on to our next one. And weirdly enough, we've got a 1988 version of the Brad Pitt film, The Fury. How did they know he was going to be driving a tank? Yeah. I know, that's quite clever. And anyway, yeah, this is The Fury. This is back to full price. We're back to $9.99. I will say, okay, this has got a great title screen tune. There's a really good title screen tune on this one by one Mr. Stephen Legg. Never heard of him, but really good tune on the title screen. I'm sure the game is going to be just as good. This is The Fury from Martech. It's got designed by Creative Reality, written by Jazz Austin, and converted by Johnny Hillclimber, with graphics by David Dew. I don't know what's going on here. In the game, we are told that the year is 2050, and you have progressed from Noid status and are about to compete in the first of 25 races that make up this season. Okay? But according to the back of the box, the power, the glory, the fury. Fasten your saver being harness. Just put seatbelt. For the Space Age Demolition Derby. Set on a looping track floating in space and curved for blistering speed and sensational thrills, The Fury is no-nonsense, fast and addictive arcade action which sees you, as Earth's champion, I'll come to why that's not right either, do battle with the reckless and cunning victors of all the known world.
Pod racing, before it was pod racing.
It's Alley Cat.
Yeah.
It's Alley Cat then, except this is on its side. So this is Alley Cat, essentially. Think Alley Cat, and you're not far along with this anyway. So the front end and instructions promise a lot here. The instructions for this are big. There's a lot of them. There's a big old manual for this.
Yeah, I thought there would be.
A wealth of information provided within the instructions, complete with a detailed history of rim racing, which is actually what we're doing here. There's loads of oblique different
racing on no one's rim.
Yeah, which is actually what you are doing. Going from the first rim race in 1996, which was built on a track in the Arizona desert, measuring 20 kilometers in diameter and 60 kilometers in length. I didn't do the maths with Pythagoras sort of thing to check if that was right or not, or pi r squared or whatever. That took 8 years to build. It had over 1,000 people competing in it. 438 people were killed in the race, and 122 were injured. So that was the first rim race in 1996.
Sounds like a disaster.
I would have thought so, yeah. It then goes on to say that Earth has been renamed Ral.
Why?
Don't ask. That's why, like, you were Earth's champion, but you're not now. You're Ral's champion.
Ral. No one had named this planet Ral.
Raal. Ral.
Oh, jeez.
And a rim was built around Ral's moon. That's the moon. And it goes on and on and on. I'm not going to read it all out, but it just goes on. It's like, and then it was banned, and then it came back, and then this guy did this really weird thing and disappeared. And the story's really strange. It goes on there's pages of it, pages of this nonsense. It goes all the way up from 1996 to 2040 something, where you come in. It goes a lot of detail, loads of details on the history. There's loads of details on the cars you can race, the weapons you can get, all kinds of stuff that may or may not be relevant to this game. The game itself is very well presented with a great title screen and options select. You kind of do this in this small box with a cursor, and it's like telling you when you move your cursor, it's got like a grid reference thing. It's really cool. It's got a really cool front end, this has. One of the most coolest front ends I've seen. It's really well designed. You can enter your name, you can reconfigure keys and start the game. You start the game, you can check on the next race. You can try and buy a new car, upgrade your present one with some weapons like missiles, machine guns, small or large flamethrowers. You can buy fuel and things like that. You can also repair your car or buy an escape pod or whatever. You can't do any of this at the start, though, because you've got no money. So you might as well just get into the race. At this, right here, at this point, where you get into the race, is where all that bump, all that story, and all those options and all that well-designed intros come face-to-face with the reality of a game that looks like it's been transported from a Spectrum and made in 1985. So,
yes, it does.
So the main play screen has a scrolling road across the centre of it. White lines mark the lanes and get wider apart as they go up the screen in an attempt to simulate the curve of the track. It's supposed to be curved like a bank curve.
Doesn't work.
But there's no shading, so it all looks flat.
Only that is shaded.
It just looks very flat indeed. So at the top of the screen, there's a Spectrum-esque picture of some planets in that Spectrum-y, high-resi, single-colour-y type horrible style. And at the bottom is the UI, again, very Spectrum-esque, with the info for the race, like your speed, fuel remaining, the lap, your position, the ammo you've got left, the time left, and all very. But it's all very squashed into this bit in the middle. And it's really hard to read and pass, and you can't really make anything out. It's all ugly and horrible. The road scrolls from right to left, as I said. So this is the second one, like Stuntback Simulator. It goes that way. There's It feels odd. The cars are lumpy yellow and green things that go from side on to top on as you go up the side of the road. You get, because they're supposed to look like you're curving upwards. So if the bottom you're sort of side on, but as you move up the bank of the curve, they obviously flip and you're looking top on. But they're just lumpy and ugly and green and yellow and horrible. But it looks odd because there's no real feeling that the road is supposed to be curved. At some points, the road will flash colours like green or blue or red, and a crosshair will appear, so you have to slow down briefly to make it go away. If you don't, it just tracks onto you and blows you up. If you die or your car blows up or you run out of fuel, it's game over, you're dead, unless you've got an escape pod, I think, but, whatever. At some point, for no real discernible reason, the race will just end. That I could make out. And you move on to the next one after earning some credits, and you can maybe spend them on fuel or a new car, etc. And the same boring, ugly race will appear on screen again. You'll do the same thing again. It's horrible. It's ugly, and oh god, all that front end wasted on this crap. There's different race types, but who the hell cares? It's a dull, vapid, over-presented game that for all its fancy front end and whistles looks rubbish and plays worse. The mix of blocky C64 graphics from 1985 or even 84, whatever, and Spectrum-esque high-res visuals in the sort of top and bottom bit in the game, they're a real mismatch. It looks ugly and it's just horrible. The whole thing is really just a poor man's Alley Cat flipped on its side. Alley Cat did this 2 years ago, and we had issues with Alley Cat, and it wasn't brilliant, but it's so much better than this. The only fury I had was having to play this nonsense. I don't even know why it's called the Fury. Supposedly, if you do the Fury, something weird happens, which means you're in the top part. Oh, God only knows. This was crap. What did it get? It got 52%. No, just no. This is not an average game. This is a bad game, and it should be in the 20s as far as I'm concerned. What did you think?
Yes, it's the same. All presentation was good at the beginning. I mean, like you said, title screen, an interesting sort of choice, the way it looked, nice sort of high-res kind of feel. Really great music, like you say. All feels like something special is going to happen. Doesn't though. When you get to the actual game, you get all that nice front end. You think, okay, it sets you up for a right fall, doesn't it? As soon as the game begins, you get this laughable Spectrum UI, a crap road, and a shit sprite. You're like, oh, all that brouhaha for that.
For that, yes.
And yeah, you zoom in left to right on a road to nowhere. I zoomed across and got targeted and blown up. So to avoid that, you just move a little. And then I just really didn't have to do anything. I just drove. There wasn't much to avoid because nothing really got in my way. So I just drove around and it was dull and really unexciting. It's not very good. I went to the upgrade screens at one point thinking I'll upgrade my vehicle. Couldn't get off the screen. No idea how you do that. So I was stuck there forever.
Oh, it took me for ages. There's a little line in the bottom left-hand corner.
Exactly.
You have to go on that.
Stupid.
Bad layout. Very bad layout.
Just naff, really naff. And for full price, get lost. Get lost. The only thing good about that is the music. The rest of it is crap. 52%? Nah, come on. You're taking the mickey now.
Yeah.
Maybe 12%, but nowhere near 52. So, no. Rubbish.
Yeah.
Rubbish.
It's really bad. Really bad. Fury. Just that manual. It's
ridiculous.
Crazy for what this game is.
It is, but they're trying to make it feel like it's more value for money, aren't they? So.
Yeah, true, I suppose. True. But there you go. The Fury. No, bad game. Bad thing. Let's move on. And Graham, it's time for you to go, be a Psycho Pigs UXB.
Ah, the game with the most controversial advert, wasn't it?
It was not good.
No, and looking back, and even now I played the game, utterly facile as well. Teenage fap material for no reason. It's nothing to do with this game. It was literally just to make a name for itself and be controversial. Mm-hmm. US Gold published this. Copyright is Jellicoe, whatever that is. Coded by Michael Ager. Graphics are Wayne Blake. Musician here is Tim and Jeff Folin. Or musicians, should I say. So, bit of an odd sort of a game, really, this. I'll give you a little bit of the scenario. I'm not going to go all the way through it, but it says, finish your smoky bacon crisps and get your teeth into this meaty pork pie of a game from Jellicoe. I don't like mixed metaphors like that. Meaty pork pie of a game. When the referee's whistle blows, it's trotters to the ground in the intergalactic pigsty as you take on a group of pigs, all wishing to avoid this Sunday's dinner table. Pick up bombs and then throw them at your opponents before they make sausage meat of you. Put your back into it. No time for that's irrational thinking as you gammon to the field to keep fit and lean. Streaky movements will keep you off your keep you off the scratching listings and save your bacon. The bacon puns are coming thick. The pig puns are thick and fast here. The game is not tripe, but brilliantly imaginative and addictive. When the whistle blows, it's a free-for-all as you throw bombs at your opponents before they can throw them back at you. The bombs will bounce off the side, so watch out for the rebound. Once a bomb has been thrown, it will count down to 0 and explode. Some bombs count down without being thrown. After certain levels, you will be rewarded a bonus round. In this case, you must attempt to kiss the lady pigs as they pop up and down. That's the game. That's it. Mm-hmm. So the game, this stupid game. So the game plays out in a really weird way, actually. On the one hand, it's not a bad idea. The principal idea of this game isn't bad. So you run around, you pick up bombs, and you chuck them at your opponents before they can do the same to you. That isn't in of itself a bad idea as a concept, that. Mm-hmm. So there's a seed there of a good idea. That kind of thing's got legs. The rough thing here is the implementation is really shonky. It's just shonkily done. In fact, it feels almost sort of borderline, it just feels like it lacked all the finish that a game like that would have required. A simple idea is fine. And even sort of in an arcade type idea, those kind of ideas, early arcade ideas, are very simple. You just need to make sure that the game, if it's simple then, has got enough around it to keep it compelling and keep it interesting. So controlling the pig feels sluggish because you obviously have a pig. And this is actually a game on a bland background. So when the game starts, you're on I've got it written down somewhere, but you're on a sort of a really dull background. We'll come to that anyway. So the idea of the game then is you control your pig, you pick up bombs and you throw them at the other pigs that are running around and trying to do the same to you. You've got to try and clear the screen of pigs, essentially. And when you do that, you get bonus points, blah, blah, blah. And then it's on to the next one until you get to the bonus round where you have to kiss pigs. That's essentially the game. Mm-hmm. Not what you call classically exciting, that, is it, really? I don't know. There's bonus things you can pick up as well. There's parts of it I like. The production at the start of this game is quite nice. So you've got this nice sort of Psycho Pigs writing with these nice graphic effects on it. You've got a nice typeface. That bit of it's fine. It's when you get into the game, you're just presented with this kind of large... The UI at the top is kind of gives you the lives information and some of the bits and bobs, the timer, that kind of thing. And it's right at the top. And the main window of the game is the play area. But it has this weird sort of Hessian-y blue-grey background, sort of a stippled effect. And everything plays out on top of that. Now, there's a lot moving around on the screen, and you control your pig, and you can run around. Bombs appear. You can pick them up, throw them. Some of them are counting down, and if you pick them up, you can sort of, you get the idea that you just position these bombs. You can hit them sometimes with the bombs instantly; they'll blow up. Other times, you can pick them up and throw them, and the countdown will begin, or it will start or stop. And it's just meant to be this kind of funny run around, pick up the bombs. Oh, it's all kind of manic, and it's 2-player option for the game as well, so 2 players can play it and run around. Oh, look at that! Pick up the bombs, do all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. My problem was that picking up the bombs and throwing them in this, it lacked the dynamism or excitement that something like that should have. So it doesn't feel, the explosions don't feel very explosive, and it all lacks the finish that the game like this needed. In a game like this, with a simple idea, it's the little things that make a difference. The graphics all feel really blocky with no real care and attention. They kind of look piggish, I suppose, and they function that way. But they're not cute and they're not funny, and those are the things you need in a game that's got a straightforward, simple idea. You need them to be a bit better. Now, you could have afforded to have less on the screen, but to spend a bit more time having some really funny little animations. That frog game that we played, Slimy's Mind managed it perfectly well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you can have little mini characters doing stuff, and this isn't that dissimilar to Slimy's Mind in some ways, in the way that you're kind of running around the screen. And now there is a lot going on the screen. I'll grant you, there's a lot of bombs. There must be sort of 20, bombs, and I think they're done with characters, I guess, or something like that. And then you've got the pig sprites running around, and there's quite a few of them. So there's a lot of movement going on the screen. But you lack menace in this. They just run around. They don't really feel like they've got anything in the way of AI or any intelligence. They're just running around, picking stuff up. They don't really feel like they're targeting you. I mean, I managed to clear a whole bunch of levels of this without really trying. It wasn't really that hard.
Yeah.
And just picking up those bombs and throwing them, it felt lackluster. None of it adds into something that really made it feel tangible. The main game window, as I've said, is most of the screen, save for that UI, but it's boring. There's no real backgrounds as such. It's just that horrible hash and blue and white. And there's loads of bombs on the screen, but they don't really move and bounce around in a way you want them to. They just kind of fly off, and it just lacks the little animations, the little details that really this game sorely needed. With no smooth scrolling, because even when you're running your sprites around, they move quite quickly, but the animation isn't, I would say, smooth on the screen. It's not jerky, but it's not fluid. And a game like this would have really benefited from having a really nice fluid system. it lacks polish. There's plenty of jovial stuff in there. The music seems out of place, but the music is at least carries it a little bit because the music kind of keeps the pace to the game. So that does kind of work, and it's an attempt at sort of trying to convey the kind of mayhem of the whole thing. But the visuals just don't meet up to anything, and it all plays out in the end. It's actually samey and not very exciting. The bonus levels, again, are just a featureless, funless place where you're sort of running around with things popping up. It's like a whack-a-mole type thing. Boring graphics, not very exciting. Silly sexualized advert that has no place in anywhere. What a bland, repetitive misfire this was. Now, I can just imagine that if you take this game idea out and you place this on a more simplified environment, like an arcade, I can imagine Sega producing a version of this in an arcade, a bit like Pengo. Pengo is a very simple idea: crush, crumble, ice block sliding around. You play a penguin and you're being chased by snow bees. There's no difficult logic to that, but it has character. It has the little characters in it. There's fun about that. This is missing all that, and what you end up with is it's just a pigsty, a pig's mess. It's a pig's ear of a game. It's not very good. So I thought it didn't deserve 60%. This, the music's not bad, but it didn't. It's expensive and not really that engaging. So I had to put this down in the 30s to 40% for me at that price. What did you think?
Yeah, this actually is an arcade game. This is an arcade conversion. Yeah, this is an arcade conversion.
I didn't know that.
Jaleco are they're in sort of one of the sort of smaller sort of arcade creators. This was
I didn't look into that.
Originally, this came out in Japan only. It was called Butasan or something, I think. And those Hessian backgrounds, they're in the arcade. This looks very similar to the arcade. So that's why it looks like what it is, because they've made it look like the arcade. And to be fair, looking at the arcade screenshots and the C64 ones, they're not that far off. They're blockier versions, but it's not actually that far off. If you look on Moby Games, you can see them. But I think your criticisms are correct. I mean, the problems lie in the the parent game. It is what it is. It's a free for all Bomberman type thing, and it kind of loses something in not having the walls and the constrictions and the maze type layout of Bomberman, where you can lay traps and stuff like this. This is just a crazy free for all thing, and I'm not really sure it really works. But the problems probably lie in the arcade version. And they converted. And what they converted probably is probably close to what the arcade version was. So I don't know. You kind of stuck with the source material of what you're doing. I thought the visuals and music they were okay. I didn't mind them. It's a weird thing though. There's like this weird thing about pigs being used as substitute in like games that are similar, like Hogs of War. That springs to mind, which was a 3D version of Worms for the PlayStation. Seems you're going to do something with a thing. You got to put pigs in it. It's not worth a tenner. But again, it's a tenner because it's an arcade conversion. We've seen this time and time again that they've got to pay for the license, so that these weird games get converted. And I'm not even sure the arcade game came out in the West. I think it was maybe just a Japanese only thing. But yeah,
it doesn't look like it. It says it's also known as Mr. Pig and the Bombers.
Yeah,
I've never seen that arcade anywhere, and not even on the arcade emulators have I not seen that.
No, I haven't either. So I was unaware of this. Only when I sort of was playing it and I had a look around and I see that it was an arcade game.
A bit on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I mean, most of them had a conversion to that in some form or other, but. I think the problem with this is that it's not, it may be in the arcade it's a bit of fun because it'll probably have better sounds and better graphics and better that sort of carry it a bit further. Here on the C64 again, when you sort of strip it down a bit, there's a lot going on screen, but it's sort of empty chaos. And I think that's and like that bonus round thing where you're just running around trying to kiss the sows, it's just weird. It's a very Japanese type thing from that period of time. So I don't know. I didn't particularly enjoy my time with it. It was just something that was kind of weird and a bit odd, and I don't know how it sort of got led to that advert that they used. I just don't understand it. Or even the cover for the game, which has this really angry pig on it. It's like weird. They seem to have missed the fact that this is supposed to be like some cutesy type thing once again. And then it's a very odd thing. But I never played it back then, and I've never played the arcade. I've never seen it, but why would I if it never came out anywhere but Japan? So there you go.
You're a pig in a dinosaur suit in the arcade.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, weird. I don't know. I'm just looking at some screenshots. Very odd.
Strange.
Yeah, very weird.
Strange.
There we go. Anyway, that was it. That's Psycho Pigs UXB, a weird arcade conversion. That is what it is. Let's move on. We've got another couple of games. All about balls. Our next one is Hotshot. Full price, this one. We're still in the £10 territory. This is from Addictive Games. It's Hotshot, £10. This was converted to the C64 by Prism Leisure, who also did some other game called Metaplex, which I've never heard of. Never heard of that, Metaplex. I think it's clear that no one had any idea what to do with this when you read the back of the box. And I quote, Hotshot, a futuristic arcade game mixing the excitement of the days of the arena where gladiators fought for their lives with the electronic wizardry of pinball. What? Hotshot, a game on 5 levels, each a game in itself. Achieve peak performance at one level before graduating to the next. Hotshot, where you must win just to survive. Hotshot, you need to be a crack shot, an ace, a pinball wizard. Are you in the league to play Hotshot? Hotshot, for one or two challenges. Gladiatorial pinball?
Not good.
What? Okay. It could be good, I guess.
Nobody ever wanted that.
Nobody. It might combine these two things to make a great game. Who knows? Let's have a look. When the game loads, someone has done that thing again where they made the C64 look like a Spectrum. You know, they've done that thing what they keep doing for reasons we don't understand, we don't like. The odd thing is that along the bottom of the Spectrum style screen, it says a Maxwell Technology production.
What?
Didn't know why. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, you can play the single player against the computer AI or in 2-player mode. Pressing fire allows you to enter your name, and then it asks for player 2, but if you leave this, you don't press the fire button, then the computer enters their name as Killer, and you are both assigned a random character from one of the 5 that are available to play as. It doesn't matter which one you get, they all play the same. Once this is done, the game starts, and bloody hell, is this a sodding Spectre I'm looking at?
Very, very Spectrum-y, isn't it?
Jesus Christ on a bike. Essentially, this is dual Breakout, I guess, where you control a character under... There's loads of Breakout games this part.
There is.
You control a character under a set of bricks, and you have to suck up the ball that is bouncing about and fire it at your bricks or your opponent's bricks to knock them out. I couldn't figure out whether it was your own or your... you got to get points for knocking out bricks. I don't know. It's not entirely clear in the instructions what the aim of the game is. You're armed with a graviton gun, and holding fire sucks the ball into it, and you then have 3 seconds to aim and release the fire button to fire the ball in the direction you want it to go, trying to destroy some blocks, Breakout style. If the ball hits you, then you are vaporized or de-rezzed for a moment, and the ball is launched back into your opponent's side. There's a timer counting down, and whoever had the most points when this counts down is the winner and gets to go on to the bonus game, even if it is the computer.
God's sake, so dumb.
Why does the computer get to do this? Where's the fun in watching the computer not complete something and then it's game over?
Yep.
What? Wait. Why did someone think that's... you lose, you don't get to the bonus stage. There you go. If I had to say what this reminded me of, it's a bit of Denton Designs Bouncers. Remember that? There's a little bit of that in there. There's a bit of Hyperball in the way you've got to get stuff and fire it from side to side. But also, there's... And this is only in the look only, in that first stage. It reminded me of that... Buster move in 2-player where you're both flinging balls across at each other in the way you've got sort of stacks on either side. It looks like it kind of calls those to mind. That's just the layout. But it, in no way does it have any of the playability of any of those games. Even Hyperball was better than this. The physics on the ball are otherworldly. I don't know how else to describe them. Because they're not like physics I've ever come across. That they're all over the place. Things getting moved. This ball doesn't move like it's just... It's supposed to be you're sucking it in with your graviton, but it's like, no, what is going on? The graphics are all single colour, and although the characters are quite well animated for what they are quite well animated, I'll give them that. It just looks ugly, and not a game I like to see on the C64. The music on the title screen doesn't loop.
No, it does not.
So it just stops after it's played. Like, no, you've heard it once.
That's enough for you.
Okay. We haven't got the code to sort of press the jump back to the beginning of the code to run it again. The noises in the game are perfunctory. This is a bland and boring thing with very little to recommend it. It's not worth £10 of anyone's money at any time in their life. And whilst this may run, I guess, it functions as it was intended to, it's a very poor excuse for a full price piece of software. This was awful. Just I don't know what they were thinking or when the design came in, what they were trying to do, and then who ported it to the C64 made it Spectrum emulator again and just made it look, it's just rubbish. The physics on the ball are crap, and it's not clear what you got to do. And don't bet me watch your computer do a bonus stage.
So stupid.
I didn't like this. What about you?
No. I mean, the layout looked familiar. It looked initially. I thought, is it like that game that where you fire the bubbles and you've got one person firing them at each side, a bit like that sort of advanced bubble where you've got the...
Yeah, bust a move.
Yeah, so initially I thought, oh...
That's what I thought.
That was dashed to pieces in seconds, isn't it?
Yeah, that was stomped on with a massive boot.
Yeah. And then after, obviously, then the reality hits. You're like, no, it's not that, is it? This is some kind of hoovery dot game. I don't know, horrible sounds, pippy, puppy sounds I don't like. Pip, 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 that kind of, I'm like, no. Really naff graphics. High res, but bad high res with terrible, terrible shading. Terrible shading.
Yep.
Dot physics of the dot. No. Doesn't play well. I found myself being constantly zapped by the thing, no matter what I did.
Yep.
No, I managed to sort of catch it on the end of my Hoover nozzle thing, whatever the hell that is. Fired upwards, instantly bounced around, and then went round me and hit me on the ankle, and I was dead. I was like, what are you?
These physics are stupid.
Pinball and Breakout, as I guess what this is kind of alluding to be, were never meant to blend. Never blend those two things. They're mutually exclusive. Always have been, always will be. No one's ever wanted Pin-Out or Breakball. No one's ever wanted that. That's why they don't exist. That's why those things have never happened.
Well, if you're going to do it, just do it like a normal pinball table where you're flipping it up and the balls... You could do it, but...
It's just not... it doesn't
not
work.
like this.
Just, no, one or the other. Just be one or the other. Don't amalgamate things that shouldn't be. Don't cross your streams.
You could do... I don't know.
The music's really
like
jolty and a bit... well, if you are going to cross the streams, don't do it like this then.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
So, but it's just shocking, this. It's rubbish. Naff look and feel. Doesn't quite come together. It's a specky game at heart anyway. I had no real fun with any of it. I just found myself getting frustrated looking at the other guy, whatever the hell that is, robot thing, the fancy end thing, whatever it was on the side.
Yeah. Seemingly
been able to move the dot around in better ways than me while he could. And then even he got killed by it periodically. I was like, oh, just get lost. Hotshot, no thanks. There's an easy win with that. And I'm not saying it, but just no. Not good. Not good at all.
Yeah. It's not a Hotshot, is it? What's a Hotshot not? Not this.
Not a Hotshot, yeah.
Not a Hotshot, yeah. There we go. Good Lord. This is a bad run, isn't it? All right, we've got one left. Hopefully, maybe it will pick up for our last game. Let's move into that. And Graham, you've got it. This is Ricochet. I have to say it loud because
you're going to hear this
game.
It is loud, this game. 86% this got. It's which label? I haven't written the label down. It's Firebird. It's Firebird game. So it's Silver, I guess. Silverbird. It's Silver Range. Anyway, Firebird's Silver Range. So it's designed by Gary Liddon.
Yeah.
And Gary Penn and Nick Pelling.
Yes.
Created by Lee Douthwaite, coded by Gary Liddon, and the graphics are by Gary Liddon and Gary Penn, and the music is Rob Hubbard. So there's some weight behind this.
There is.
Very, very, very straightforward premise, really, isn't there? Use your bat to hit the ball against the mid-space bricks, blow them all up, and go on the next breakup zone. Avoid the naughties along the way.
Yeah.
Collide with falling sparklers to gain extra weapons, speed-ups, collectives, and many more. Look out for Mr. Ed and the Gravy, which brings amazing and exciting prizes to those who dare to go for it. This is a game that features gravy scores, gravy points, actual gravy points. Finally,
Yeah.
finally.
Finally, we understand what they were referring
Connell
to.
Cochran finally got his dream game.
I was thinking of that other one, secure fruit for gravy points.
That kangaroo game. Whatever it was. So it's another breakout game. Now, the thing is with this one is there are things to like about this. I've always quite liked Ricochet. It does kind of shout at you when the game starts. I mean, you can't get away from that. This game is loud and in your face, but it's got a nice production to it, all said and done. There's lots of, fancy samples going off. So it's ding, 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 and you're getting all the, kind of weird sounds. It's all very tongue-in-cheek, this.
Mm-hmm.
But it is actually, once you get past that and you've, got something to put in your ears temporarily, it's actually a very, very, very playable game. The one gripe I have with this game is right from the outset is your bat is just a little bit too small.
Yes, very much
too
so.
small. If it just been a few pixels longer would have been, perfect. But anyway, gripe. So it's a breakout game, and the idea is you go through screen to screen breaking out. Now it's not in the sense that you got a wall to get through, because like with the other games, some of the breakout screens have got different kind of bricks, different kind of patterns to them. They come to right shapes and things like that. There's things to collect in amongst that. So you've got to try and bat. Now, it's actually quite hard, this game, as well, because your bat is a little bit small. The ball moves quite quickly. The ball movement and all the production of the game is pretty good. It's very slick. And so you can find yourself very quickly burning through your lives in this, because sometimes the ball just seems to come back at you really fast. And and it's quite hard to get to it. But that said, you can get extra weapons, and when you do, you can shoot bricks out, and you can do things like that. And of course, you can collect the gravy points for the gravy bonus, which is letters. It works in the same way as a lot of those other games. You shoot the bricks, and then things come tumbling down. For some reason, they always seem to come tumbling down just as the ball's coming down the other side of the thing. It's like a curse with me when I play these games. So no matter what, if I want a bonus, it's always the other side of the screen, and the ball's always going down towards the opposite side. So I can never quite get to them all the time. So I'm like, ugh. Drives you mad. But it is a nicely put together game, this. Playable even with a small bat. Feels slick. Quite different enough to be interesting. It's a variation of a theme with this, but it isn't straight and out a rip-off of Arkanoid or anything like that. It is it is that kind of game, but it isn't a straight sort of, shot-for-shot remake. It has got a little bit of roundedness to it. There's a little bit more. And each of the levels has got their own name, and it's kind of quirky. It all felt a little bit in-jokey, some of the humor in it. So I think that it's these quirky character names and these things that appear in it. And it's all probably, they're all sat there chuckling to themselves at the ingenuity of all of the humor that's buried into the game. But it's lost on anybody later down the line. Mm-hmm. So, but that said, if you buy into the whole not taking it too seriously, it is only a budget breakout game after all. I didn't come across any bugs. It ran really fast. It's tough, but there's loads of levels, as far as I'm aware, loads of them to play at. So for £2, you can have a bit of fun. It's not quite as garish and as mind-boggling with your eyes as the previous breakout game, the Ball Blaster. So it is a bit easier on your eye, if nothing else. Yeah. Maybe, but it's probably a little harsher on your ear. So, but other than that, a game with actual graded points, I didn't think it was bad. It got 86%. It's about right for something like that for £2. So it was all right. I quite enjoyed playing it for what it was. I didn't take anything too seriously. What can you take from it? It's a breakout game, another one.
Yeah.
So it's all right.
There's some issues with this. It's a noisy game from the ex-Zappers, isn't it? Very noisy. But then what you get is a rather basic breakout clone with some stuff we saw in Arkanoid and some interstitial screens. I don't know. Gravy bits are okay. But my main issue with this, it doesn't recognise where the ball hits the bat. So you can't aim it. So you can't knock it back. It just goes in the it goes where it's going to go in that angle. You can't do anything about that. And that fundamentally breaks breakout.
I don't know. I felt like I was in control of it.
No, I was hitting it to the, it would come and I would hit it on the far left and it would just go to the
you
right.
Playing it. You're cack-handed. You just couldn't play it.
The only way I could figure out to do it, you had to be sort of moving to hit it. It was weird. It wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing. I mean, Thingy did it. Ball blasted it. I had no problem aiming it in that. But this, it made it, like you just said.
It did feel like the levels went on for maybe too long, which maybe that's why.
Yeah, it made collecting the drop-downs for the power-ups a lot harder because you couldn't knock it at an angle to create yourself some more time to go get something.
I never put it down for that. I just, hit it.
I didn't like the way it controlled. I thought it just wasn't there. I don't know. I wasn't particularly enamored with this. Yeah, it's £2. Yeah, it's got loads of crazy samples in. I thought this was a rather flat breakout variant with stuff we've seen done better into other takes. Give me Arkanoid. I'd even play the other one, even if it did my eyes in. But there's better ones.
£2.
It's £2, but it's not a very good breakout variant because I don't think it doesn't do the thing that breakout's supposed to do. You can't control where the ball goes.
At this point, £2 breakout games. What are you going to get for your £2? You're not going to get Arkanoid. So
but I don't think they should be getting 86%. Not even close. That's 4% off a Sizzler.
Yeah, that's fine. I think for what it is.
I think this is pat on the old Zap people's backs. Personally,
no, I don't know. Nick Pellin's nothing to do with Zap.
Yeah, but it's got Lydon and Penn involved.
So
yeah.
You got your tinfoil hat on again.
I know I have.
It's £2.
So there are better £2 games.
I go back to what John Hare said. It's £2. So you get £2 worth of game, and for £2, it's all right, and it's cheaper than Ball Blaster as well. So I think if I'd have seen it on the shelf because it's got Rob Hubbard soundtrack, it would have swung it for me if I was buying it. I never bought either of them, so I probably owe somebody £2 somewhere.
You probably do. I think we owe a lot of people a lot of money, but here you go. That's it. Not a great list of... Summer Olympiad was all right.
It's a dull list of games, half of which I'd never heard of, or a significant proportion of them. Yeah. And some of them are just out and out rubbish. Fury, rubbish. Hotshot, rubbish. Psycho Pigs,
Stunt Bike Simulator,
average. They're all just stop putting simulator on the end of things and saying it's anything.
Mm-hmm. Scuba Kidz was okay. Summer Olympiad was was pretty good. Just a bit bland. I mean, 3 breakout variants.
Well, yeah, just put new creative games. These are just what we're doing here.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's October done. Let's have a look. So we see what's going on in the charts?
Yeah, I think we probably should.
All right. In at number 10, this is going to Commodore user. In at number 10, up from 14, is Stunt Bike Simulator. Oh, God.
What a load of crap.
Down to number 9 is Airwolf. Number 8 is Rally Driver. Don't remember that one. Frank Bruno's Boxing's at number 7. European Five-a-Sides at number 6. Battleships is at number 5. Encore there. New in at number 4 is Hawkeye. New in at number 3 is Salamander. And new in at number 2 is Tracksuit Manager. But staying at number 1 is Football Manager 2. Battle of the football managers there at the top.
It says, yeah.
Just shows what the UK likes, doesn't it?
I'm afraid this chart does, and it's very revealing.
Yeah, it is. For the rest of the chart, and at number 11 is Ace. Number 12 is Road Blasters. Steve Davis Snooker finally dropping down to number 13. Rocky Horror Show at number 14. Ninja Scooter Simulator at 15.
Aye.
Yogi Bear at 16. We Are the Champions, which I think is a compilation, at 17. Samantha Fox Strip Poker at dance number 18. Ghostbusters at 19. And The Empire Strikes Back, a new entry at number 20.
So Ghostbusters has been in the chart. It must have been in there for months now.
Yeah, Mastertronic one, isn't it? People really like that game, don't they?
Yeah, it's good, but I mean, for months it's been in the chart. I mean, what's shocking is that that's in the chart, which means there hasn't been a lot of new stuff coming in. There's not many new games in that list.
No, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Shocking.
Tracksuit Manager, Salamander, Hawkeye, Road Blasters, Ninja Scooter Simulator, and We Are the Champions is a compilation, but Empire Strikes Back. There we go. What have we got next month? November. Now, there's a lot of games reviewed in Zap next month, but most of them are for the Amiga.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of sort of reissues of stuff. So I'm just going to try and work my way through these. So the first one is Barbarian. That is the new, different Barbarian.
Yep.
So there's that one. Battle Stations. I don't think we've looked at that.
You've missed Armalites there.
Oh, sorry, Armalite. Yes, Armalite. We've got Armalite. It's the big one. That's the gold medal. Barbarian, Battle Stations. We've looked at Cybernoid 2.
Okay.
Emily Hughes' International Soccer. 4x4 Off-Road Racing.
Oh, dear.
Fox Fights Back.
Okay.
Intensity. I don't recognise that. Is that sort of
Ring a bell.
Mission Genocide.
The Krakow, is that another one? Is that we seen the Krakow?
Krakow, yeah, that's the side on Gremlin Breakout one.
Yeah, it's there. I thought we'd seen that.
That's what I'm saying, trying to remember what we've looked at already. Mission Genocide, I don't recognise that.
No,
There's the Pink Panther game.
Okay.
Red Storm Rising.
Okay.
Sinbad and the Throne of the Falcon.
Oh, all right, okay.
Soldier of Fortune.
Right.
Street Sports Soccer.
The Epics one.
Yeah, we haven't looked at that one, have we? We've looked at baseball and...
Just baseball.
Just a baseball one, isn't it? We looked at. Yeah. Super Cup Football. Looked at 40 games. House City we've looked at. Vector Ball.
Okay.
And that's it, I think.
And look, Whirly Gigs out on the Amiga.
Whirly Gigs out on the Amiga. Yeah. World Games to be released. Virus. I think it's a two-part. It's another two-parter for next month.
Yeah, it looks like it. What a bargain that is at a budget price, World Games.
Yeah. If that's been re-released at thingy. There's some good... I mean, Ace of Aces is there at budget.
Crazy.
What else? I think there's some Bubble Bobble.
Jeez.
Yeah, there's some really, really nice budget stuff. Gauntlet, I suppose. Krakow, Metro Cross, World Games, Tau Ceti. You're in cheap heaven, aren't you, at this point for budget re-releases? This is when it really starts to pick up. So that's what we've got coming up next week. For the next couple of weeks. It's a two-part of November, because obviously, and I think, I know there's 4 parts for December, but I think as we get into 1989, the games start to drop off.
Yeah, there's going to be a thinning out.
There really is, which is probably good because my hair's thinning out. Having to play some of these. No, I'm quite looking forward to Armalite. I don't really remember much of Armalite.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very good.
I am looking forward to playing that one, and not sure about anything else. Fox Fights Back. Sounds interesting. Could be good. I seem to remember that Barbarian one. Someone warned us about that it's another icon-controlled movement one.
No, they did warn us about that, didn't they? Yeah, just have a flashback.
I'm not particularly looking forward to that, I have to say. So, but we will see. We will see what goes on.
We will see.
Oh, there we go. That's October done. Seems to have flown by. They go fly by so fast when you just do a two-parter.
It does seem to go by quick when we brace through them. But then again, there's been so much crap. It's like I feel doomed with some of these. I'm like, oh, they're just heavy on your brain.
Thoughts are doomed. Yeah, I know what you mean. That's it. So we're going to go. If you wish to support us, you can do. You've got a Patreon. That's patreon.com/Zap to the Past. If you wish to join up to that, please do. It's £4. It's about £5 or whatever it is. It's under a £5, so £5. And then that means you get access to our Discord. You get the episodes early without adverts. You get them. You can ask us questions for our Ask the Podcast, and when we do anything special, like we did for episode 100, you'll be involved in that, things like that. And there's other bits, maybe I can't remember, maybe anything exclusive we shove out. You can do that. I think we've got a Ko-fi as well, which Ko-fi, just look for Zap to the Past on there, and if you wish to sort of donate anything on there, that's cool too. If not, rate and review us, whatever it is. Give us a review somewhere. Be nice or don't. It's up to you. But just be nice to sort of get what people think, or just follow us on Twitter and things like that. It's all good. It's all good. I think on that note, I think I'm gonna go. I think we're time to finish. So, as ever, I have been Adrian Mills.
And I have been Graham Raddings.
And you have been listening to Zapped to the Past, and we will see you again next week. So, goodbye and have a nice week.
Thank you for listening to the Zapped to the Past podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of Commodore 64 games, as well as the music, films and TV from around the 1980s, driven, of course, by the issue of Zap 64 magazine published at that time. We will return with a whole new batch of games and stuff to talk about next week. Until then, if you want to listen to or download previous episodes of Zapped to the Past, and why wouldn't you, they can all be found on our website at zappedtothepast.com, as well as being available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Audible, Player FM, and, well, pretty much anywhere where we can upload them. By the way, we do always love to hear from our amazing listeners, so if you'd like to contact us about anything in the podcast or beyond, you can do so by emailing us at zappedtothepast@gmail.com. We're also active on Twitter under @ZapTother, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and most social media platforms. Just search for Zapped to the Past and you'll find us. Oh, and if you like the podcast and what we're doing, please do like, share, review, rate us. It really helps. Something, apparently. The Zapped to the Past podcast is written and produced by Adrian Mills and Graham Raddings, and recorded at Flaky Bits 2.0 Studio. All opinions expressed are those of the writers, and while we indeed love Zap 64 magazine, the Zapped to the Past podcast is not affiliated with it in any way. Stay safe, see you next time, and remember, we play these games so you don't have to.